Most people try to change their lives while exhausted, distracted, and tense. They force new habits onto an old inner structure and wonder why nothing lasts. Tonight works differently. As you rest, the mind loosens its grip, and in that looseness, rebuilding becomes possible quietly, thoroughly, without resistance. What you listen to while you sleep becomes the architecture of your thinking when you wake. The subconscious does not shut down at night. It becomes more receptive. In those hours, beliefs are not argued with, they are accepted, absorbed, and stored as truth. You don't need to fix every thought consciously. That is slow work. Real change happens when the deeper mind updates its patterns. As these hours unfold, outdated assumptions begin to dissolve, making space for clarity, direction, and steadiness to take their place. Most people are living from mental structures built years ago, ideas formed in pressure, fear, or limitation. Those structures quietly shape decisions every day. Tonight begins the process of renovation, not by tearing down walls violently, but by replacing what no longer supports growth. You may notice your body relaxing before your thoughts shift. That order matters. When the body feels safe, the subconscious listens. In that state, new impressions pass through old defenses and settle where habits are formed. This is not motivation. Motivation fades. This is reprogramming, the slow, stable process that changes what feels normal to you. When normal changes, behavior follows without effort or self-discipline. As the sound continues, urgency fades. The constant pressure to figure it out loosens. In its place comes calm focus. Calm focus is the foundation of persistence, clarity, and intelligent action. Many people believe transformation must feel intense. In reality, lasting change feels subtle. It feels like relief, like no longer carrying a weight you forgot was there. That relief is the signal that the inner structure is adjusting. You are not being asked to visualize a perfect future or repeat words out loud. The subconscious understands rhythm, tone, and repetition. It learns through exposure. What it hears consistently becomes its expectation. Expectation shapes choice. Choice shapes action. Action shapes results. That entire chain begins here, beneath awareness, while effort rests. Old habits survive because they are familiar, not because they are correct. Familiarity creates comfort. Tonight, new patterns are becoming familiar, gently replacing what once felt unavoidable. You may drift in and out of awareness. Let that happen. The deeper mind remains alert even when you rest. It continues absorbing, sorting, and reinforcing what aligns with growth. Notice how thought slows. When thought quiets, insight deepens. This is the state where new standards are accepted, standards for discipline, focus, confidence, and purpose. Rebuilding the mind does not mean becoming rigid. It means becoming aligned. Alignment removes friction. When inner friction fades, effort becomes efficient instead of exhausting. Many people work hard yet feel scattered. Scattered thinking creates scattered results. These hours are restoring order, quietly reorganizing priorities, strengthening intention, and stabilizing emotion. You may not remember every word tomorrow. That is not the goal. The subconscious remembers the tone, the direction, the feeling. Those impressions guide you long after conscious memory fades. Over time, you will notice subtle shifts. Decisions feel clearer. Doubt hesitates before speaking. Persistence feels steadier, less emotional. These are signs that the inner framework is changing. Transformation that lasts always begins at the level of identity. Identity answers the question, what kind of person am I? Tonight, that answer is being updated without force or struggle. As sleep deepens, the conscious mind releases control. This is the gateway. In this state, suggestions bypass argument and become instruction, shaping reactions automatically. You are not becoming someone new overnight. You are removing interference, confusion, fear, and contradiction so your natural strengths can operate without obstruction. This process does not add pressure, it removes it. When pressure disappears, clarity emerges. When clarity emerges, action becomes confident and consistent. Most people wake each day carrying the same mental weight. After enough nights of exposure, that weight begins to lift. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of hesitate. The mind rebuilds itself through repetition, not intensity. Each hour reinforces the same message. Growth is safe, focus is possible, direction is available. Stay with the sound as long as you can. Duration strengthens impression. Each moment deepens the new structure forming beneath awareness. This is not about chasing change. It is about allowing change to happen where it lasts. Effort works on the surface. Alignment works at the root. By morning, nothing dramatic may seem different. Yet beneath the surface, the framework will be stronger, cleaner, more ordered. And from that rebuilt foundation, everything else, confidence, discipline, clarity, abundance has room to rise naturally. Let the night do its work. You don't need to manage it. The transformation has already begun. Most men do not realize that the mind they carry today was not built by deliberate choice. It was assembled gradually, thought by thought, under conditions they did not select and rarely questioned. Ideas accepted in youth, impressions formed in fear, and opinions borrowed from others became the unseen beams and walls of an inner structure that now governs daily life. I have learned through long study that the mind is not shaped by great moments alone, but by small repetitions faithfully practiced. A single fearful thought does little harm, but a fearful thought repeated becomes a belief. A belief repeated becomes a habit. A habit repeated becomes character. Character, once fixed, directs destiny with precision. Most people attempt to change results without examining the inner structure from which those results arise. They add effort, discipline, and resolve, yet wonder why exhaustion follows and progress does not. They are attempting to build upon a foundation that was never designed to support growth. The structure of the mind determines what feels natural. If confusion was repeated often, clarity feels foreign. If hesitation was rehearsed daily, decisiveness feels unsafe. Familiarity, not truth, governs comfort. Comfort governs behavior. This is why lasting change must begin beneath awareness. Sleep offers the greatest opportunity for rebuilding because resistance weakens when the body rests. During waking hours, the mind defends its old arrangements. At night, it listens. In this listening state, impressions pass through old defenses and settle where habits are formed. You are not being asked to tear down your inner structure by force. Force creates strain, and strain hardens resistance. Rebuilding that lasts is quiet. It replaces weak materials with stronger ones, one impression at a time, until the entire framework supports a higher order of living. I have known men who labored faithfully, yet remained scattered in thought. Their efforts were sincere, but their minds lacked order. When order was introduced inwardly, effort became efficient. The same hours of work produced greater results because the inner structure had changed. Order in thought precedes order in action. Men who succeed consistently do not rush. They do not scatter their attention. They move with calm direction because their minds are arranged around purpose rather than impulse. Others sense this difference immediately. They feel steadiness in the presence of such men. They trust their judgment. They respond with cooperation. This response is not planned, it is instinctive. Order attracts confidence as surely as confusion repels it. Most mental structures were built during times of pressure. In moments of fear or disappointment, conclusions were drawn quickly and repeated often. These conclusions were not tested for truth. They were accepted for survival. Survival thinking, once useful, becomes limiting when carried into maturity. Tonight begins the process of replacing survival thinking with orderly thinking. This does not require effort. It requires exposure. The subconscious learns by repetition, not by argument. You may notice that the body relaxes before the thoughts change. This order is correct. The mind listens best when the body feels safe. Safety opens the door through which new impressions enter. As the body rests, the deeper mind becomes receptive. It does not analyze, it records. Whatever is repeated calmly during this period becomes material for rebuilding. Many men carry mental weight without knowing it. They feel tired not from labor, but from contradiction. One part of the mind seeks progress, while another part resists change. This inner conflict drains energy. Rebuilding removes conflict by replacing contradiction with alignment. When the inner structure supports growth, effort feels lighter. Persistence becomes steadier. Direction feels natural. I have observed that men who rebuild their thinking in this manner often describe the change as relief rather than excitement. Relief signals that pressure has been removed. Pressure belongs to misalignment. This work is not about becoming rigid. Rigidity is another form of weakness. True strength is flexibility supported by order. An ordered mind adapts without losing direction. The hours of rest are not wasted hours. They are the hours in which the mind performs its most important work. What is impressed now shapes what feels reasonable tomorrow. You are not required to remember these words. Memory is not the instrument at work. Impression is. Impression shapes tendency. Tendency guides choice. Choice repeated becomes habit. Habit becomes the new structure from which life is lived. Most people awaken each day with the same mental arrangement because nothing new was introduced during rest. Old patterns were rehearsed again, strengthening what already existed. Tonight, a different pattern is being introduced. The purpose is not to add strain, but to remove it. When unnecessary weight is removed, clarity appears. Clarity makes intelligent action possible. Men who achieve much often appear calm because their minds are not crowded. They have removed clutter through disciplined thought. This discipline was not learned through struggle, but through repetition. Others respond to this calm. They feel less resistance. They offer trust more readily. Opportunity moves toward those whose inner structure can support it. The rebuilding that begins here does not announce itself. It works quietly, like a tide reshaping the shore overnight. In the morning, the land appears familiar, yet something essential has changed beneath the surface. You may drift in and out of awareness. Allow this. The deeper mind remains attentive even when consciousness fades. It continues sorting, arranging, and reinforcing what aligns with growth. The old structure does not collapse suddenly. It dissolves through neglect. What is no longer repeated weakens. What is repeated gains strength. Repetition is not dullness, it is law. The mind accepts as true whatever it encounters most often. Tonight, it is encountering order, steadiness, and direction. I have long taught that success begins with definiteness of purpose. Purpose cannot stand upon confusion. It requires a firm foundation. That foundation is being laid here. As these ideas continue, urgency fades. Urgency belongs to fear. Calm belongs to confidence. Confidence grows when the mind is properly arranged. Many people mistake intensity for progress. Intensity fades. Structure endures. This work builds structure. By morning, you may feel no dramatic change. That is expected. Deep change does not announce itself. It reveals itself through steadier decisions, clearer focus, and quieter confidence in the days that follow. This is the beginning of rebuilding, not by force, not by struggle, by calm, repeated exposure to a higher order of thought. The mind knows how to rebuild itself when given proper material. That material is being supplied now. Rest and allow the process to continue. The deeper mind understands its task. What is being formed here will support everything that follows. Every thought that passes repeatedly through the mind is an instruction. It may not be spoken aloud, yet it is heard clearly by the deeper faculties. The subconscious does not wait for permission to obey. It acts upon whatever is repeated with sufficient regularity, shaping conduct quietly and faithfully. Most men believe their thoughts merely describe life. In truth, their thoughts direct life. What is described repeatedly becomes expected. What is expected becomes prepared for. Preparation governs action. Action repeated produces result. The chain is exact and never broken. I have discovered that men who fail most often do not lack effort. They lack discipline in what they tell themselves inwardly. They issue careless orders, then wonder why confusion follows. The mind obeys faithfully, never questioning whether the instruction serves its owner. A single negative thought does little harm. A negative thought repeated becomes guidance. Guidance repeated becomes habit. Habit directs behavior automatically. This is why unnoticed inner dialogue is so dangerous. It works continuously, even when attention is elsewhere. Men who achieve much do not leave instruction to chance. They govern it deliberately. They do not allow every passing emotion to speak as authority. They choose which thoughts will be repeated and which will be dismissed through neglect. Others sense this self-command instinctively. They notice that such men do not react impulsively. They pause. They decide. Their speech carries certainty without force. This certainty invites trust and cooperation. Most people were never taught that thought is command. They were taught to react, to worry, and to doubt, believing these habits to be wisdom. These habits became instruction through repetition, and instruction became structure. The mind does not distinguish between intentional instruction and careless repetition. It responds equally to both. This is why rebuilding must begin with awareness of what has been allowed to speak inwardly without challenge. Night is the hour when instruction is received most readily. The conscious guard relaxes. The deeper mind listens. Thoughts repeated then settle more firmly and remain longer. This is why rebuilding during rest is so effective. Many men retire at night rehearsing their concerns. They repeat questions without answers. By morning, uncertainty has been strengthened. Autosuggestion reverses this by supplying calm, ordered instruction instead. You are not being asked to argue with old thoughts. Argument gives them attention. Attention strengthens them. You are being invited to replace them with new instructions repeated calmly and consistently. The subconscious obeys certainty, not volume. Loud declarations fade. Quiet statements repeated endure. This is the language of the deeper mind. I have known men who changed their fortunes by changing the instructions they issued inwardly at night. They ceased telling themselves what they feared and began telling themselves what they expected. Their conduct adjusted naturally. Others noticed the change before results appeared. They sensed steadiness. They sensed direction. They sensed a man no longer governed by chance. These impressions opened doors. Men respond instinctively to inner order. They trust those whose minds are not scattered. Order signals capability. Instruction also governs attention. The mind notices what it has been trained to expect. When fear issues commands, danger stands out. When order issues commands, opportunity appears. This is why two men may face the same condition and see entirely different possibilities. One has been instructed to look for loss. The other has been instructed to look for gain. Instruction repeated becomes belief. Belief repeated becomes character. Character directs destiny without effort. As you rest now, the deeper mind is receiving new direction. It does not question. It records. What it records becomes tomorrow's guidance. You may notice that thoughts feel slower. This slowing is not weakness. It is control returning. When instruction is orderly, haste is unnecessary. Most exhaustion is mental, not physical. It comes from conflicting instructions issued within the same mind. Rebuilding replaces conflict with agreement. Men who master this process rarely feel overwhelmed. Their minds issue fewer commands but stronger ones. Strength lies in simplicity. Others sense this simplicity. They experience it as confidence. Confidence does not require explanation. The mind must be taught what to repeat. Repetition without direction produces chaos. Direction without repetition produces nothing. Together, they rebuild. You are not required to supervise this learning. Supervision introduces strain. Allow repetition to do its work quietly. I have often said that the mind is the only instrument through which man may control his destiny. Instruction is the hand that tunes this instrument. Careless tuning produces discord. Deliberate tuning produces harmony. As sleep deepens, the deeper faculties continue to accept instruction. They strengthen what is repeated and weaken what is neglected. Old instructions lose authority when they are no longer heard. Silence starves them. New instruction gains authority through repetition. This is how the inner structure changes without conflict. Men who succeed consistently live by a small number of strong inner commands. They do not clutter their minds with contradiction. They issue clear direction and allow habit to enforce it. Others experience this clarity as leadership. Leadership begins inwardly. As these ideas continue, the mind grows accustomed to being directed rather than drifting. This habit alone separates builders from wanderers. You may feel a sense of quiet certainty replacing urgency. Urgency belongs to confusion. Certainty belongs to order. The rebuilding that takes place here does not depend upon belief. It depends upon exposure. Exposure repeated becomes acceptance. Acceptance becomes guidance. Guidance becomes action. Action repeated becomes destiny. Rest now and allow instruction to continue without effort. The deeper mind knows how to obey. What is being repeated here will shape tomorrow's choices quietly and steadily. This is how the inner structure is rebuilt, not by struggle, but by law. Sleep and allow the process to continue. Every man lives out an agreement he has made with himself, though few remember when that agreement was formed. It was not signed in a moment of clarity, but shaped gradually through repetition. What a man repeatedly accepts as true about himself becomes the rule by which his conduct is governed. Most people attempt to change behavior while leaving this agreement untouched. They struggle against habits without questioning the inner understanding that created them. This struggle exhausts effort and produces little change, because conduct follows identity as surely as shadow follows form. I have learned that the mind does not obey wishes. It obeys agreement. When a man agrees inwardly that he is capable, his actions support that belief naturally. When he agrees inwardly that he is limited, his actions protect that limitation faithfully. Autosuggestion is the process by which this agreement is revised. Each repeated thought is a quiet statement of identity. These statements require no emotion and no witness. They work through familiarity, not force. Many men rehearse themselves as strugglers without knowing it. They repeat phrases of difficulty, delay, and inadequacy until these descriptions feel natural. What feels natural governs behavior more powerfully than what is desired. I have known men who labored honestly yet remained confined by the roles they rehearsed inwardly. When they ceased rehearsing limitation and began rehearsing authority, their conduct changed without strain and results followed steadily. Others noticed the change before success appeared. They sensed firmness in decision, steadiness in tone, and clarity in movement. These signs of inner agreement inspired trust and cooperation. Identity is not created by imagination alone. It is created by repetition. The mind accepts as identity whatever role is practiced most often. Practice makes familiarity. Familiarity removes resistance. Men who build enduring success do not see themselves as victims of circumstance. They see themselves as directors of effort. This view was not adopted suddenly. It was rehearsed until it became habit. I have often said that faith is a state of mind. By this I mean agreement without argument. When the conscious aim and the deeper mind speak the same language, action flows freely and persistence feels natural. Inner disagreement weakens effort. One part of the mind advances while another retreats. Rebuilding ends this conflict by establishing a single direction through repetition. Night after night, the mind rehearses its role. If it rehearses doubt, doubt becomes the guide. If it rehearses authority, authority governs conduct. As you rest now, the deeper mind is receptive to a broader agreement. This agreement does not exaggerate. It simply assumes capability, steadiness, and direction as natural conditions. Men who accept this agreement do not hurry. They do not seek permission inwardly or outwardly. They proceed as though progress were orderly and expected. Others sense this expectation. They respond with confidence. Opportunity often moves toward those who appear prepared to receive it. Identity also governs how failure is interpreted. Men who rehearse inadequacy see failure as proof. Men who rehearse capability see failure as instruction. This difference determines whether a man advances or retreats. Autosuggestion trains interpretation as well as action. What the mind expects, it explains everything to match. Many men remain loyal to an old identity out of habit. Habit does not release its hold until a new role is rehearsed with greater frequency. Neglect weakens the old. Repetition strengthens the new. You may notice that certain limiting thoughts feel less convincing. This is not struggle, it is replacement. Replacement is the only lasting method of change. Identity rehearsed calmly becomes character. Character governs destiny with consistency. Men who possess strong character are rarely dramatic. Their strength is quiet. Others rely upon them instinctively. As sleep deepens, the subconscious continues accepting the role being rehearsed. It does not question whether the role is deserved. It accepts repetition as authority. This is why exaggerated claims fail. The mind resists what it cannot accept. It welcomes what feels reasonable and familiar. I have known men who rose steadily by adopting the identity of builders long before results appeared. They acted in accordance with that role, and the world adjusted in time. Others describe such men as confident. Confidence is the outward sign of inner agreement. You are not asked to become someone new overnight. You are asked to release loyalty to an old description and allow a stronger one to form through repetition. Identity change feels subtle. It feels like relief rather than excitement. Relief signals that inner conflict is dissolving. As this agreement strengthens, effort feels lighter. Decisions arise more easily. Persistence steadies. These are the signs that identity is rebuilding beneath awareness. Rest now in this agreement. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind understands its task. What is rehearsed here will guide tomorrow's conduct without command. Identity, once formed, works faithfully. A mind cannot move powerfully in many directions at once. Power gathers only where thought is ordered. Disorder scatters effort, weakens judgment, and creates the illusion of hard work without progress. Most men suffer not from lack of ability, but from lack of arrangement within their own thinking. I have observed that confusion is rarely accidental. It is usually inherited through repetition. Men repeat unfinished thoughts, half-made decisions, and borrowed opinions until the mind becomes crowded. In a crowded mind, no single idea has room to grow. Order does not mean rigidity. It means placement. When each thought occupies its proper place, the mind moves with ease. When thoughts compete for attention, energy drains away, resolving inner conflict. Many men attempt to solve this problem by adding effort. Effort applied to disorder produces strain. Order applied to effort produces results. This is why rebuilding must begin inwardly. Successful men are often mistaken for being simple. In truth, they are organized. They do not carry every thought at once. They give attention where it belongs and remove it where it does not serve. Others sense this organization immediately. They feel calm in the presence of such men. Calm invites trust. Trust invites cooperation. I have known men who worked endlessly, yet felt overwhelmed because their thoughts had no hierarchy. Everything felt urgent. Nothing felt complete. When order was introduced, urgency faded and clarity emerged. Order begins by deciding what does not deserve attention. The mind gains strength not by holding more, but by holding less. Removal is as important as addition. Night is the hour when removal happens naturally. As the body rests, the mind releases what it no longer needs to carry. In this condition, new arrangement becomes possible. You are not being asked to sort every thought consciously. That is tiring work. Rebuilding happens through repeated exposure to order. The subconscious learns arrangement through pattern. When calm, ordered ideas are repeated, the mind begins to prefer them. Preference becomes habit. Habit governs attention. Men who possess order do not rush to answer every question. They pause. They allow clarity to surface. This pause is not hesitation, it is control. Others interpret this control as confidence. Confidence is simply the absence of inner crowding. Disorder creates noise. Noise creates fatigue. Fatigue weakens persistence. Order removes noise and restores strength. I have often said that accurate thinking is one of the great essentials of success. Accuracy requires space. Space is created by order. As these hours continue, the mind is being introduced to a calmer arrangement. Thoughts are being placed instead of piled. This placement removes pressure. You may notice that the urge to resolve everything at once begins to fade. This is not neglect. It is prioritization forming naturally. Men who advance steadily rarely appear frantic. They have learned to move one step at a time without losing direction. This ability comes from mental order. Others respond to this steadiness by offering patience, trust, and opportunity. Order attracts these responses. Repetition strengthens arrangement. Each calm exposure to order makes it more familiar. Familiarity removes resistance. The mind resists chaos when it has learned order. It releases unnecessary thought automatically. I have known men who transformed their effectiveness by learning what to ignore. Ignoring is a skill developed through repetition. As sleep deepens, the subconscious continues organizing thought. It strengthens what aligns with purpose and weakens what distracts. You may drift in and out of awareness. Allow this. Organization does not require attention. It requires repetition. The mind knows how to arrange itself when given proper pattern. That pattern is being supplied now. Order also restores patience. Men who are organized do not rush. They know where they are going. Time becomes ally rather than enemy. Others sense this patience and trust it. Trust opens doors effort alone cannot force. Disorder breeds fear because it removes certainty. Order dissolves fear by clarifying direction. As order grows, effort feels lighter. The same tasks require less strain because resistance has been removed. This is how scattered thinking becomes focused thinking, not by force, but by arrangement. I have often said that concentration is the ability to focus on one thing at a time. Concentration grows naturally when order replaces chaos. Night repetition trains this focus without struggle. You may notice that thoughts begin to slow. Slowing is not loss of sharpness. It is precision forming. Precision strengthens judgment. Judgment improves decision. Decision reinforces direction. Direction restores confidence. All of this begins with order. Rest now in this calmer arrangement. Allow the deeper mind to continue placing each thought where it belongs. What is ordered here will guide tomorrow's attention without effort. The rebuilding continues quietly. Nothing is forced. Nothing is rushed. Order is returning to the mind, and with order comes power. There is no greater drain upon the strength of a man than unfinished decisions. Debate carried too long becomes a habit of hesitation. Hesitation weakens effort before action begins. Many men believe they are thinking carefully, when in truth they are merely postponing inner settlement. I have observed that progress begins at the moment a man ends discussion within his own mind. Until that moment, thought moves in circles, consuming energy without advancing direction. Once settlement is reached, thought moves forward with quiet force. Decision is not an act of noise or emotion. It is an act of closure. When the mind closes a question, it releases energy that was once trapped in doubt. That energy becomes available for action, persistence, and judgment. Most men suffer not from wrong decisions, but from undecided ones. An imperfect decision followed faithfully often produces better results than a perfect decision delayed indefinitely. Delay feeds confusion. Decision feeds clarity. I have known men who possessed great ability, yet remained ineffective because they reopened the same questions daily. Their minds were crowded with perhaps and someday. When they learned to conclude inwardly, their progress became steady and reliable. Others sensed this change quickly. They noticed firmness where uncertainty once lived. This firmness inspired confidence, for people trust those who trust their own direction. Decision seals order into the mind. Order without decision remains fragile. Decision strengthens order by giving it authority. Night is the hour when decision can be sealed most easily. The conscious mind relaxes its grip. The deeper mind accepts conclusions without protest. What is concluded calmly at this hour becomes difficult to disturb. Many men carry unresolved questions into sleep. These questions multiply overnight. By morning, uncertainty governs conduct. Rebuilding reverses this by replacing questions with conclusions. You are not being asked to force decisions through will alone. Force creates resistance. Repetition creates acceptance. Calm statements of direction, repeated nightly, teach the subconscious what is settled. The subconscious does not respond to argument. It responds to finality. When a conclusion is repeated often enough, it becomes law within. I have often said that definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Definiteness is not rigidity. It is inner agreement upon direction. Men who possess definiteness do not rush. They do not second-guess every step. They adjust methods without abandoning purpose. This steadiness preserves strength. Others respond instinctively to this quality. They trust men who have decided. Trust opens doors that effort alone cannot force. Indecision exhausts the spirit. Decision restores it. Relief follows settlement because conflict has ended. As you rest now, the deeper mind is receptive to conclusion. Old debates can be closed without strain. What no longer serves can be dismissed quietly. You may notice that certain recurring questions lose urgency. This is closure forming. Closure frees attention. Men who fail often revisit decisions repeatedly, weakening them each time. Men who succeed decide once and build upon that decision. Decision, once accepted, guides attention. The mind notices what aligns with direction and ignores what does not. This selection simplifies life. I have known leaders whose greatest strength lay not in brilliance, but in finality. They decided and moved forward. Their certainty inspired others to follow. Certainty does not mean knowing every step. It means trusting direction enough to proceed. Direction reveals steps as movement begins. As sleep deepens, the subconscious continues reinforcing settled conclusions. It strengthens what is repeated and weakens what is neglected. You are not required to remember these conclusions consciously. They will express themselves through steadier action and clearer judgment. Decision also restores patience. Men who have settled inwardly do not rush results. They know direction has been chosen. Time becomes ally rather than enemy. Others sense this patience and respond with cooperation. Cooperation multiplies effort. I have often observed that one sound decision, firmly held, can remake an entire life. That decision need not be dramatic. It must be final. Finality is built through repetition. Each calm reaffirmation strengthens the boundary beyond which doubt no longer travels. You may feel a sense of quiet relief as inner debate fades. Relief signals that energy once wasted is now conserved. Decision transforms effort into progress. Progress becomes visible when effort is no longer divided. Rest now in this settled direction. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind knows how to guard what has been concluded. What is sealed here will guide tomorrow's conduct without argument. This is how drift ends and direction begins. The rebuilding continues, not through struggle, but through settlement. Sleep now under this finality. The work proceeds faithfully. Persistence is not an act of strain. It is an act of loyalty. When a man must force himself to continue, it is because he has not yet removed retreat from his thinking. Where retreat remains possible, effort becomes exhausting. Where retreat is absent, continuation feels natural. I have observed that most men do not lack endurance. They lack allegiance to a settled direction. They persist briefly, then withdraw inwardly before circumstances ever defeat them. This withdrawal weakens habit and trains the mind to expect surrender. Men who endure calmly do not speak often of persistence. Their continuation appears ordinary. This ordinariness is the mark of mastery. What is dramatic is unstable. What is habitual endures. Persistence becomes effortless when it is no longer questioned. The mind obeys what it assumes to be permanent. Autosuggestion teaches permanence by repeating loyalty until it becomes law. I have known men who labored fiercely for short periods and then abandoned their effort, and I have known men who advanced steadily without strain. The difference lay not in strength, but in habit. Habit carries effort forward when attention wanders. Others sense this quality instinctively. They trust men who remain. They rely upon those who do not retreat inwardly. This trust brings cooperation, and cooperation multiplies power. Persistence born of habit does not require constant encouragement. It operates even when enthusiasm fades. This is its greatest advantage. Many men mistake persistence for stubbornness. Stubbornness resists instruction. Persistence accepts instruction and continues regardless. Autosuggestion trains the mind to continue without argument. The subconscious supports what it believes to be permanent. When direction is presented as settled through repetition, the subconscious lends its strength and removes the impulse to quit. I have often spoken of men who abandoned their efforts within sight of success. Their failure was not lack of opportunity, but lack of habit. Habit would have carried them beyond doubt. Persistence does not demand constant motion. It demands refusal to abandon direction. Men who persist wisely rest when rest serves and act when action is required. As the body rests now, the mind accepts continuation without resistance. Calm repetition makes loyalty feel natural rather than forced. Others will notice that you recover more quickly from disappointment. Recovery is swift when retreat is no longer considered. Men who persist through habit do not dramatize hardship. They accept it as instruction and proceed. This attitude preserves strength. Persistence governed by habit sharpens judgment. Men who remain long enough learn what short effort never reveals. Night after night, repetition strengthens allegiance. Allegiance becomes character. Character governs destiny. Fear weakens persistence by suggesting escape. Autosuggestion removes escape by training loyalty through repetition. You may notice that the thought of quitting feels less urgent. This is not complacency. It is commitment. Men who commit inwardly do not exhaust themselves arguing with difficulty. They conserve energy by removing alternatives. As sleep deepens, habit strengthens. What is repeated calmly becomes law. You are not asked to push yourself forward. Pushing implies resistance. Allow habit to pull you forward instead. Persistence built upon habit does not burn enthusiasm. It preserves it. Others may describe you as steady. Steadiness is the outward sign of loyalty secured. I have long taught that failure is temporary defeat. Defeat becomes permanent only when habit dissolves. Habit prevents dissolution. Rest now in this continuity. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind understands its task. What is established here will carry you forward without strain. Persistence is no longer something you must summon. It has become something you are. Sleep now under this law of continuation. The work proceeds faithfully. No man ever achieves lasting success through isolated thought. Even when a man works alone, his thinking must be in harmony with other minds, other experiences, and established principles. Power multiplies when thought cooperates instead of contending with itself. I have observed that many men weaken their own efforts by carrying too many opposing ideas at once. One part of the mind advances, another retreats. One part hopes, another doubts. This inner conflict consumes energy before action begins. Harmony begins when thought moves in a single direction. Direction gathers power. Scattered thought dissipates it. Autosuggestion is the means by which harmony is established quietly and steadily. Men who achieve much are rarely quarrelsome in thought. They do not argue inwardly with every idea that presents itself. They select, align, and proceed. Selection is the first act of cooperation. Others sense this harmony instinctively. They feel ease in the presence of such men. Ease invites conversation, assistance, and trust. Trust opens doors that force cannot move. I have known men of modest talent who advanced rapidly because they learned to harmonize their thinking with capable counsel. I have known men of great ability who failed because they insisted upon thinking alone. Cooperation does not mean surrendering direction. It means aligning strength. A mind in harmony is not weak. It is efficient. Night is the hour when harmony forms most easily. As the body rests, inner contention fades. The mind becomes receptive to order and alignment. Repetition during this hour strengthens agreement without effort. Many men sabotage themselves by dwelling upon envy, resentment, or rivalry. These conditions fracture harmony and repel cooperation. Autosuggestion replaces them by training the mind to admire, study, and align with achievement. I have often withdrawn in quiet moments to consult an inner council of men whose lives proved the soundness of their thinking. In this imagined assembly, I sought not answers, but alignment. Alignment brought clarity. The subconscious responds to harmony as readily as it responds to repetition. When thoughts agree, the mind moves with ease. When they conflict, progress stalls. Men governed by harmony rarely rush. They listen, they weigh, they choose. This restraint is not hesitation. It is judgment. Others interpret this judgment as leadership. Leadership arises naturally when thought is ordered and aligned. Harmony also governs how opportunity is received. Opportunities are rarely seized by the frantic. They are welcomed by the prepared. Prepared minds are harmonized minds. They have room for new ideas because they are not crowded with inner dispute. As sleep deepens, the subconscious continues arranging thought around purpose. Conflicting ideas lose strength through neglect. Aligned ideas gain authority. You may notice that thoughts feel quieter. This quiet is not emptiness. It is cooperation forming. Men who lack harmony often confuse activity with progress. Men who possess harmony move less and accomplish more. Others respond to this efficiency by offering responsibility. Responsibility brings opportunity. Opportunity rewards harmony. I have often said that success requires the cooperation of other minds. This cooperation begins within. When thought is harmonized, cooperation follows naturally. Harmony also restores patience. Men at peace with their direction do not hurry outcomes. They allow time to serve them. As repetition continues, the mind grows accustomed to alignment. It releases unnecessary conflict automatically. You are not asked to force harmony. Force creates resistance. Allow repetition to establish order quietly. Men who cultivate harmony are rarely lonely. Even in solitude, they feel guided. Guidance arises from alignment with principle. Others sense this guidance and trust it. As sleep deepens, the mind accepts harmony as its natural state. What is harmonious inwardly will attract cooperation outwardly. The rebuilding continues, not by adding more effort, but by removing conflict. Rest now in this alignment. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind understands how to cooperate. What is harmonized here will guide tomorrow's actions without strain. Harmony has replaced contention, and with harmony comes power. Every man lives according to what he quietly expects. Expectation is the silent partner of thought, shaping conduct before effort begins. Men may speak of hope, yet live by anticipation. What the mind anticipates, it prepares for. Preparation determines outcome more surely than desire. I have observed that failure often follows men who expect resistance at every step. They do not see opportunity because they are trained to look for difficulty. Difficulty appears faithful to expectation. The mind finds what it is sent to seek. Men who achieve lasting success expect order. They do not deny obstacles, yet they do not rehearse them. Their thoughts are arranged around progress. This arrangement guides attention toward openings rather than barriers. Expectation is not excitement, it is calm assumption. Calm assumption carries authority because it does not argue. Autosuggestion trains this assumption by repetition until it feels natural. Many men desire advancement while expecting disappointment. This inner contradiction weakens initiative. The mind cannot move confidently toward what it secretly doubts will arrive. Rebuilding removes this contradiction. I have known men who labored long without result because they anticipated loss at every turn. When they trained themselves to expect improvement, their judgment sharpened and opportunity revealed itself steadily. Others noticed the change before success appeared. They sensed calm confidence. Calm confidence invites cooperation. Cooperation multiplies effort. Expectation governs patience. Men who expect progress allow time to work. Men who expect failure demand immediate proof. Impatience is the child of doubt. The subconscious does not measure likelihood, it measures repetition. Whatever is anticipated most often becomes the guide for behavior. Autosuggestion replaces anxious rehearsal with calm expectation. As you rest now, the deeper mind is receptive to a broader anticipation. This anticipation does not exaggerate. It assumes that growth follows order as surely as harvest follows planting. Men who live by right expectation do not hurry. They prepare. Preparation attracts opportunity more reliably than urgency. Others sense this preparedness. They trust men who do not appear desperate. Desperation repels assistance. Expectation invites it. Expectation also governs courage. Men who expect difficulty hesitate. Men who expect progress proceed. Courage is the absence of preparation for defeat. I have often said that riches respond to definiteness of purpose supported by faith. Faith, in this sense, is expectation held without argument. Night repetition trains the mind to expect improvement as normal. What feels normal governs action more powerfully than what feels impressive. You may notice that certain worries feel less persuasive. This is expectation replacing fear. Fear weakens when it is no longer rehearsed. Men who expect growth notice ideas that others overlook. Ideas are capital. Capital responds to attention. Others respond to this attention by offering suggestions, introductions, and trust. These responses appear coincidental, yet they are drawn by expectation. Expectation also influences how money is regarded. Men trained in scarcity fear money. Men trained in expectancy direct it. Direction multiplies usefulness. I have known men who feared opportunity because they expected failure. When expectancy changed, fear lost authority and action followed. Expectation governs gratitude. Men who expect improvement recognize progress. Recognition strengthens confidence. Confidence supports persistence. As sleep deepens, the mind rehearses its anticipation. What is rehearsed now will guide tomorrow's reactions without effort. Men who expect order do not complain of chance. They understand law. Law responds consistently to thought held steadily. Repetition strengthens this understanding. Each calm statement of expectancy deepens belief without argument. The subconscious accepts expectation as instruction. Instruction becomes habit. Habit becomes character. You are not asked to deny past difficulty. You are asked to anticipate future order. Anticipation prepares the way. Expectation also influences generosity. Men who expect shortage cling. Men who expect growth share wisely. Wise sharing signals confidence. Others trust those who share wisely. Trust multiplies opportunity. As sleep deepens, the mind accepts a broader anticipation. Scarcity loses power when it is no longer rehearsed. Men who train expectation do not depend upon excitement. Expectation works when emotion fades. Others may remark that you appear more settled. Settlement signals readiness. I have known men whose fortunes changed because they stopped preparing for failure and began preparing for success. Preparation begins in thought. Rest now in this calm anticipation. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind knows how to expect order. What is anticipated here will guide tomorrow's conduct naturally. This is how confidence becomes steady rather than emotional. Sleep now under this new expectancy. The rebuilding continues faithfully. No man ever rises higher in life than the level of respect he quietly holds for himself. This respect is not spoken, it is assumed. It governs what a man allows, what he accepts, and what he rejects. Wealth, responsibility, and leadership respond to this inner measure with exact obedience. Many men desire success while secretly questioning their right to possess it. This doubt does not speak loudly. It whispers through hesitation, underpricing of effort, and withdrawal at moments of opportunity. The mind obeys this whisper faithfully, mistaking it for caution. I have observed that men who sustain achievement carry themselves with dignity long before success appears. This dignity is not pride. It is calm acceptance of responsibility. Others sense it instinctively and respond with trust. Self-respect is not built through praise or approval. It is built through repetition of inner statements that affirm capability and responsibility. What is repeated calmly becomes familiar. Familiarity removes discomfort. Men who lack this self-respect often sabotage themselves without knowing why. They delay action. They shrink from authority. They explain instead of decide. These acts are not weakness of will, but obedience to an inner estimate of worth. Autosuggestion replaces this estimate by rehearsing a broader permission. Permission to decide. Permission to receive. Permission to stand without apology. The subconscious accepts permission when it is repeated without contradiction. Wealth does not remain with those who feel unworthy of it. It passes through their hands and seeks those prepared to hold it. Preparation begins inwardly, with respect for one's own ability to direct and manage. Others notice when this respect is present. They sense steadiness. They trust judgment. They offer responsibility more readily. Responsibility is the doorway through which opportunity enters. I have known men who worked faithfully yet remained unseen because they carried themselves as servants rather than stewards. When they accepted stewardship inwardly, their manner changed and recognition followed. Self-respect also governs how mistakes are interpreted. Men without it see error as proof of inadequacy. Men with it see error as instruction. Instruction strengthens judgment rather than weakening it. The subconscious does not measure merit. It measures belief. Belief repeated becomes law. Night after night, the mind rehearses its estimate of worth. If it rehearses doubt, doubt governs conduct. If it rehearses dignity, dignity directs action. As you rest now, the deeper mind is receptive to a broader self-acceptance. This acceptance does not exaggerate. It simply assumes capability and responsibility as natural conditions. Men who accept this condition do not seek approval. They act from alignment. Approval follows alignment naturally. Others respond differently to such men. They listen more carefully. They defer more readily. They trust more fully. These responses appear unearned, yet they are drawn by inner certainty. Self-respect also restores patience. Men who respect themselves do not rush recognition. They trust their direction. Trust steadies persistence. Autosuggestion installs this trust through repetition. Each calm statement of worth strengthens the foundation upon which achievement rests. I have often said that money responds to definiteness of purpose. Purpose requires self-respect to sustain it. Without respect, purpose wavers under pressure. As this respect strengthens, guilt around success dissolves. Guilt repels opportunity. Acceptance attracts it. You may notice that thoughts of receiving feel less uncomfortable. Comfort with responsibility is essential. What is resisted inwardly will be avoided outwardly. Self-respect also governs generosity. Men who respect themselves give wisely without fear. Giving signals confidence in renewal. Others trust those who give wisely. Trust multiplies opportunity. As sleep deepens, the subconscious continues shaping this inner estimate. It records tone and repetition. These impressions guide tomorrow's conduct without effort. You are not asked to deny past errors. You are asked to stop rehearsing them. Rehearsal sustains identity. Men who rise do so when they release loyalty to an old estimate and adopt a broader one through repetition. This adoption does not require struggle. It requires consistency. Others will sense that you carry yourself differently. They will respond accordingly. Self-respect once established guards success automatically. It guides choice, restraint, and direction without supervision. Rest now in this acceptance. Allow repetition to continue quietly. The deeper mind understands its task. What is accepted here will express itself tomorrow as steadiness, dignity, and confidence. This is how success becomes sustainable rather than temporary. Sleep now under this inner permission. The rebuilding nears completion. All rebuilding reaches a moment when the hand must be withdrawn and the structure allowed to stand on its own. Effort completes its task when habit assumes command. From this point forward, the work belongs not to intention, but to law. Law operates without supervision, without strain, and without interruption. Many men weaken progress by returning to inspect what has already been secured. They reopen settled matters, question installed habits, and disturb arrangements that repetition had made firm. Wisdom lies in knowing when direction has been given sufficiently and trust must replace control. The subconscious mind, once impressed calmly and repeatedly, proceeds with exact obedience. It does not argue. It does not forget. It executes instruction according to frequency and tone. Sleep is not a pause in this execution. It is the period in which execution deepens and becomes permanent. I have observed that men who understand this principle awaken with clarity they cannot explain. Decisions feel simpler. Judgment feels steadier. Confidence feels quieter. These changes appear subtle, yet they are the unmistakable signs of inner order now governing conduct. When the conscious mind releases its grip, harmony advances, anxiety withdraws, habit assumes authority. The deeper faculties perform their work most effectively when undisturbed by impatience or fear. As sleep approaches fully, awareness drifts. This drifting is not weakness, it is cooperation. The subconscious does not require attention to perform its duty. It requires only that instruction be consistent and undisturbed. You may fade in and out of awareness. This does not interrupt the work. It assists it. The deeper mind remains alert even when consciousness loosens. It records rhythm, tone, and assumption, shaping tomorrow's reactions quietly. The impressions formed during these hours now belong to habit. Habit does not depend upon memory. It operates automatically. Automatic conduct is the reward of disciplined repetition. Men who sustain achievement do not rely upon constant vigilance. They rely upon trained habits of thought. These habits guard direction even when attention wanders. This is their greatest strength. Others often describe such men as fortunate. Their fortune is merely the visible effect of invisible order operating without interference. From this point forward, the mind will continue selecting what aligns with its rebuilt structure. It will notice opportunity where confusion once stood. It will ignore distraction that once demanded attention. This selection is natural and dependable. I have long taught that the subconscious is impartial. It executes orders whether they serve or hinder. Tonight, constructive orders have been impressed calmly and repeatedly. The law now proceeds. The work has moved from formation to expression. Expression does not announce itself. It appears quietly through steadier conduct, clearer judgment, and calm persistence. You are not required to observe this process. Observation invites doubt. Trust allows completion. Completion belongs to habit, not effort. As the body rests deeply, the subconscious continues arranging thought, strengthening useful patterns and dissolving those no longer reinforced. This process is exact and reliable. Men who interfere at this stage often do so from impatience. Patience is the companion of confidence. Confidence trusts law to complete what repetition has begun. Others will notice changes before you do. They may remark upon composure, clarity, or assurance. These qualities are signs that the inner structure is now supporting life rather than opposing it. From this point forward, progress no longer depends upon encouragement. It depends upon continuity. Continuity has been secured through repetition. The mind has accepted a new standard. Standards, once accepted, govern behavior automatically. What feels normal directs action more powerfully than what feels inspiring. As sleep deepens, urgency dissolves. Urgency belongs to uncertainty. Order proceeds without haste. I have known men whose greatest advances came after they ceased forcing progress and allowed habit to rule. Their restraint permitted law to operate fully. Rest is essential to achievement. Rest permits the deeper faculties to function without obstruction. This is why sleep completes the work that effort begins. You may awaken with no clear memory of these words. That is of no importance. Memory is not the instrument of change. Impression is. Impression shapes expectation. Expectation shapes conduct. Conduct shapes result. This sequence is now in motion. The mind, once ordered, seeks order everywhere. It arranges time wisely. It chooses effort carefully. It persists steadily. Others respond to this order instinctively. They cooperate. They trust. They offer opportunity. Order invites these responses without request. From this point forward, growth is not something to chase. It is something to allow. Allowance replaces struggle. I have often said that success is the result of laws applied, not wishes expressed. Those laws are now at work quietly and faithfully. Rest now without concern. The mind has been instructed. It will continue its work without attention. Sleep carries this instruction deeper, where it becomes habit. Habit becomes character. Character determines destiny. When morning comes, action will follow naturally. Decisions will feel steadier. Persistence will feel easier. Confidence will feel calmer. This is not chance. It is order. The rebuilding is complete for now. Nothing more is required. Release control and rest. What has been planted will grow. Sleep now and allow the law to finish its work. Settle the body before attempting to direct the mind. The mind obeys most willingly when the body is at ease. Sit or lie in a position that requires no adjustment. Let the hands rest. Let the breathing slow. Nothing is to be forced. Order begins with allowance. This exercise is not an act of strain. It is an act of arrangement. You are not here to wrestle with thought, but to place it. Thought that is placed correctly ceases to trouble the mind. Begin by allowing the attention to withdraw from the outer world. Sounds may remain, but they need not be followed. They pass without instruction. The mind is learning to choose what it attends to. Now bring awareness inward, not to any single thought, but to the condition of the mind itself. Notice whether it feels crowded or open, hurried or calm. Do not judge this condition. Observation without judgment removes resistance. I have long taught that the mind must be directed deliberately if it is to serve with precision. This exercise is the deliberate direction of thought, carried out calmly, without haste and without argument. First, acknowledge silently that the mind you have carried was built through repetition. It was not built by fate, nor by chance, nor by circumstance alone. It was built by what you accepted often enough to become familiar. Say inwardly, without emotion, that what was built through repetition can be rebuilt through repetition. This is not hope, it is law. Allow that statement to settle. Do not repeat it hurriedly. One clear acceptance is worth more than many hurried words. Now begin the first phase of rebuilding, release. Release does not mean denial, it means withdrawal of attention. Whatever no longer receives attention loses authority. Bring to mind, gently, the patterns of thought that have weakened you. Not specific events, but patterns: hesitation, doubt, confusion, fear of judgment, delay. Do not analyze them. Simply recognize that they existed because they were repeated. Say inwardly that these patterns were learned, not born. What is learned can be unlearned. Do not argue with these patterns. Argument feeds them. Simply remove your consent to continue repeating them. Consent is the source of their power. Now state inwardly, calmly, and firmly that you no longer give repetition to thoughts that weaken clarity, discipline, or direction. This is not a promise. It is a decision. Decision ends debate. Pause here. Let the mind rest in this pause. Pauses are powerful. They allow rearrangement. Now begin the second phase, placement. Every structure requires beams before decoration. The beams of the mind are principles, not moods. You are now placing principles where confusion once lived. Bring to mind the idea of order, not order imposed from outside, but order arising from within. Order is the natural state of a directed mind. Say inwardly that your mind is learning to prefer order to confusion, simplicity to excess, direction to drift. Do not hurry these words. Let them fall into place. Now imagine, not vividly but calmly, that your thoughts are being arranged, as one might arrange papers upon a desk. Only those that belong remain. Those that do not belong are set aside without struggle. This image is not fantasy. It is instruction. The subconscious understands arrangement. Remain with this sense of arrangement for several slow breaths. Now proceed to the third phase. Identity alignment. Every action proceeds from an inner agreement about who you are. This agreement has been revised through this work, and now it must be affirmed quietly. Say inwardly that you are the kind of person who finishes what is begun, who decides without retreat, who persists without drama, and who thinks with clarity rather than haste. Do not attempt to feel these statements. Feeling will follow familiarity. For now, repetition is sufficient. I have observed that men become what they repeatedly describe themselves to be. This description, when delivered calmly and without contradiction, becomes identity. Repeat inwardly that you are aligned with growth, order, and steady progress. These words are not decoration. They are instruction. Pause again. Let silence do its work. Now begin the fourth phase, authority restoration. Every mind is governed by a voice. If you do not establish your own, you will obey one borrowed from fear, habit, or opinion. Say inwardly that your thoughts now obey direction rather than impulse, that you choose which thoughts remain and which pass. This is not control through force. It is control through authority. Authority grows through repetition, not emotion. Allow yourself to feel the quiet firmness of this authority, not pride, not tension. Simply firmness. Now proceed to the fifth phase, expectation reset. Expectation is preparation. The mind prepares for what it expects. Say inwardly that you expect clarity to guide your decisions, steadiness to guide your actions, and order to guide your results. Expectation does not require excitement. Calm assumption is stronger. State that growth is natural, progress is orderly, and persistence is reliable. Do not demand proof. Expectation prepares the way for proof. Pause again. Now begin the sixth phase, habit instruction. Habits are formed when thought repeats without resistance. Resistance has been removed. Instruction may now be given. Say inwardly that your habits are aligning with discipline, focus, and follow-through, that you act when action is required and rest when rest serves purpose. State that you return to direction easily when distracted, and that distraction loses power through neglect. Habit does not require effort. It requires consistency. Let these instructions settle. Now proceed to the seventh phase, self-respect installation. Self-respect is the acceptance of responsibility without apology. Say inwardly that you respect your ability to think, decide, and persist. That you accept responsibility for your direction without fear. State that you are comfortable with progress, prepared for responsibility, and steady in your conduct. Self-respect does not shout. It stands. Pause again. Notice the absence of urgency. Now begin the 8th phase, release of supervision. The work of rebuilding does not require monitoring. Monitoring invites doubt. Say inwardly that the subconscious now carries these instructions forward without assistance. That habit will enforce what repetition has installed. State that you trust the law of repetition to complete its work. Trust removes interference. Now allow the mind to rest in silence for several moments. Silence is not emptiness. It is integration. If thoughts arise, let them pass without engagement. Engagement strengthens. Passing weakens. Remain here. Now conclude the exercise with a final instruction, spoken inwardly as a statement of present fact, that your mind is rebuilding itself through order, repetition, and direction. That confusion is dissolving through neglect. That clarity is strengthening through use. That persistence is becoming natural. That discipline is becoming automatic. That identity is aligning with purpose. Do not repeat these hurriedly. One calm cycle is sufficient. This exercise is complete when effort ceases. End it not with strain but with rest. Sleep if sleep follows. Rise if waking follows. The work continues either way. What has been instructed will be executed. Law does not forget. Every constructive effort reaches a moment when instruction must yield to trust. To continue directing after the work has been done is to interfere with the very laws that make results inevitable. The mind, once properly impressed, does not require supervision. It requires freedom to operate. I have spent a lifetime observing men who succeeded not by strain, but by alignment. Their greatest strength was not force of will, but obedience to principle. They learned when to act and when to release. This epilogue belongs to release. Nothing more is required of you now. The rebuilding you have allowed did not occur through struggle. It occurred through repetition, calmness, and order. These are the tools the subconscious understands. What the subconscious understands, it enforces without effort. Many men fail because they never allow the deeper faculties to complete their work. They interrupt progress with anxiety, inspection, and doubt. They reopen questions already settled and weaken habits already forming. Wisdom lies in restraint. The mind, when left undisturbed, arranges itself around the strongest impressions it has received. Those impressions have been supplied here with care and consistency. They now belong to habit. Habit is the servant of destiny. You may not feel different in any dramatic sense. That is as it should be. Lasting change is quiet. It does not announce itself. It expresses itself through steadier action, clearer judgment, and calmer persistence. I have observed that men who undergo real inner change often describe it as relief rather than excitement. Relief signals that conflict has ended. Conflict drains energy. Its removal restores strength. From this point forward, your mind will continue doing what it has been trained to do. It will select thoughts more carefully. It will dismiss distractions more quickly. It will return to direction without effort. You are not required to remember every idea that has passed through your awareness. Memory is not the agent of transformation. Impression is. The subconscious remembers tone, rhythm, and repetition long after words fade. The impressions formed here are orderly. They are steady. They are free of urgency. These qualities ensure permanence. Men who achieve much often appear unhurried. This is not because they lack ambition, but because their minds are not divided. Division creates haste. Unity creates calm. Your thinking has been guided toward unity. From unity comes clarity. From clarity comes intelligent action. From intelligent action comes result. This sequence is law, not theory. I have often said that success is the result of laws applied, not wishes expressed. Those laws are impartial. They respond to whoever applies them consistently. You have applied them here by allowing repetition to do its work. Allowance is more powerful than effort. Effort belongs to the surface of life. Law governs its depths. You are now operating at depth. As days pass, you may notice that decisions feel simpler. You may notice that hesitation pauses before speaking. You may notice that persistence feels less emotional and more natural. These are signs that habit has assumed command. Others may notice changes before you do. They may remark upon your calm, your steadiness, your clarity. They may trust your judgment more readily. These responses are not accidental. They are drawn by inner order. The world responds to what a man is inwardly, not what he claims to be outwardly. Your inner structure has been strengthened. Strength does not require display. It requires consistency. Consistency has been installed through repetition. From this point forward, growth is not something you must chase. It is something you permit. Permission removes resistance. Resistance delays results. Many men exhaust themselves trying to become something they already are capable of being. They add pressure where allowance would suffice. This work has removed pressure. When pressure dissolves, clarity emerges. When clarity emerges, action becomes confident. When action becomes confident, persistence is assured. You may find that old fears attempt to revisit. This is natural. Habit does not surrender without testing its former territory. When this happens, do not argue. Do not engage. Simply return attention to direction. What is ignored loses strength. What is practiced gains authority. Authority governs habit. Habit governs destiny. This is the order of things. I have known men who ruined progress by watching it too closely. They doubted what was already working. They mistook silence for absence. In truth, silence often marks the most productive stages of growth. Seeds grow in silence. So does character, so does discipline, so does confidence. Your work now is not to interfere. Your work is to live. Live according to the direction that has been installed. Take action when action is required. Rest when rest serves purpose. Trust that the deeper faculties are arranging details beyond conscious awareness. Trust is not blind belief. It is understanding law well enough to step aside. You have done what is required. Nothing further needs to be added. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be proven. From this point forward, the law of habit force carries you. Habit force responds to repetition. Repetition has been supplied. The law of attraction responds to harmony. Harmony has been restored. The law of success responds to definiteness. Direction has been settled. The law of persistence responds to loyalty. Loyalty has been trained. These laws do not reverse themselves. They proceed. As time unfolds, you will find that you return to center more easily. Distraction passes more quickly. Purpose feels steadier. These are the quiet marks of rebuilding completed. The mind you now carry is not perfect. Perfection is not required. It is ordered. Order is sufficient. An ordered mind improves itself naturally. This improvement does not depend upon circumstance. Circumstance bends to order. I have seen it too many times to doubt it. Men who align inwardly eventually align outwardly. Opportunity, cooperation, and recognition follow as naturally as shadow follows form. Do not measure progress daily. Measurement invites impatience. Let progress reveal itself through results. Results are the language of law. Sleep when sleep comes. Act when action is required. Think when thought serves purpose. Release when release is called for. This is the rhythm of a directed life. The rebuilding is complete. The foundation is firm. The structure is sound. From this foundation, you will build naturally. There is nothing further to add. There is nothing further to seek. The work is done. Rest now and allow the law to continue its work. What has been planted will grow, and what has been built will endure. There is a moment in every serious undertaking when the mind must cease instruction and accept continuity. At that moment, growth passes beyond conscious effort and becomes a matter of direction sustained by habit. This epilogue belongs to continuity. I have learned through long observation that men do not fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they interrupt processes already set in motion. They doubt what repetition has begun to establish and weaken what patience would have completed. The mind, once properly guided, seeks stability. It prefers order to confusion, direction to drift, and consistency to excitement. When these preferences are established, progress follows without command. What you have permitted to occur through this work is not a momentary adjustment, but a change in the manner by which your mind conducts itself. Conduct, once altered, reshapes circumstance quietly and persistently. You may not recognize this change immediately. That is not a defect. It is a sign that the change has gone deep enough to operate without display. The most powerful forces in nature work without noise. I have observed that men who achieve enduring success rarely speak of transformation. They speak of steadiness. They feel less pressure, not more ambition. This is because their inner life has become organized. Organization removes waste. Waste of thought is the greatest thief of progress. Your thinking is now less wasteful. When thought ceases to scatter, energy accumulates. Accumulated energy expresses itself as confidence, patience, and sound judgment. These qualities attract opportunity more reliably than desire alone. Many men chase opportunity while repelling it inwardly. Their thoughts contradict their aims. You have removed this contradiction through alignment. Alignment is not tension, it is agreement. Agreement within the mind ends argument. Where argument ends, power begins. From this point forward, you will find that you return to purpose more easily after distraction. Distraction is inevitable. Return is the measure of discipline. Discipline, once habitual, requires no struggle. It is enforced by preference. Preference has been trained here through repetition. I have long taught that habits of thought determine habits of action. Habits of action determine the quality of one's life. This chain has now been strengthened at its source. You are not required to guard this chain anxiously. Anxiety weakens continuity. Continuity strengthens itself when left undisturbed. There will be moments when the old patterns attempt to reassert themselves. This is natural. Habit force tests its former territory. When this occurs, do not resist. Resistance acknowledges authority. Simply proceed. What is no longer rehearsed cannot regain strength. You may notice that your thinking grows simpler. Simplicity is not reduction of capacity. It is concentration of power. A simple direction, held steadily, accomplishes more than many competing desires. Men who live by simple direction are often mistaken for being slow. In truth, they are economical. They waste little motion. They waste little thought. Others respond to this economy instinctively. They trust it. They cooperate with it. They invest in it. Your life will increasingly reflect this economy. Time will be used more wisely, not because you force it, but because distraction has lost authority. I have known men who doubled their effectiveness not by adding hours, but by removing inner conflict. Conflict wastes more time than idleness. That conflict has been reduced. From reduction comes clarity. From clarity comes intelligent choice. From intelligent choice comes momentum. Momentum does not need to be pushed. It rolls forward when direction is steady. You may find that ambition now feels calmer. Calm ambition is more reliable than excited ambition. Excitement fades. Calm persists. Persistence has been trained. It will express itself when you least expect it. Men who possess this quality are often surprised by their own steadiness. They wonder why quitting no longer appeals. The reason is simple. Retreat has lost familiarity. Familiarity governs preference. Preference governs action. This is the quiet mathematics of success. As days pass, you may notice that others treat you differently. Not dramatically, but subtly. They listen longer. They question less. They trust more. This response does not come from what you say. It comes from what you are inwardly. The world is sensitive to inner order. It responds to it. I have seen this law operate in the lives of men from every station. Those who align inwardly eventually command respect outwardly, whether they seek it or not. Respect is drawn, not demanded. You are now positioned to draw it. This does not mean life will become free of difficulty. Difficulty is instruction. What changes is your response to it. Difficulty will no longer disorganize your thinking. It will inform it. Informed thinking strengthens judgment. Judgment refines direction. Direction sustains progress. This sequence, once established, is self-reinforcing. You may find that you require less reassurance. Reassurance is sought only when direction is uncertain. Certainty removes the need for constant confirmation. Certainty has been trained. It does not shout. It remains. This remaining quality is what sustains achievement long after novelty fades. Men who rely upon novelty are always beginning again. Men who rely upon continuity build. You are now building. Building is patient work. Patience has been restored. The mind that is patient is powerful. It is not hurried by appearances. It is not discouraged by delay. It is not distracted by opinion. Opinion loses power when identity is settled. Your identity has been aligned with direction, not reaction. This alignment will guide you even when you are unaware of it. That is its greatest strength. As you move forward, remember this principle, though you need not repeat it. The mind works best when trusted. Trust does not mean neglect. It means understanding law well enough to step aside. You have done the work required. Repetition has impressed the instruction. Habit has accepted it. Law now proceeds. There is nothing further to add, nothing further to chase, nothing further to force. Live, act, rest, return. These are the movements of a directed life. The rebuilding is complete. The continuity is established. From this point forward, your task is not to become, but to allow. Allow direction to guide you. Allow habit to support you. Allow time to cooperate with you. The rest will unfold according to law, and law does not fail. Rest now in this understanding. The work continues without you, and that is as it should be. There is a stage in all sound achievement where the mind no longer asks whether progress will come, but only allows time to perform its office. That stage has now been reached. What has been impressed upon the deeper faculties is no longer fragile. It has passed beyond suggestion and entered the domain of cause. Causes do not hurry. They proceed. I have observed that men often fail not because they choose wrongly, but because they doubt the operation of forces already set in motion. They look too closely at the soil after planting and disturb what would have grown naturally. This epilogue belongs to patience born of understanding. The mind, once corrected in its habitual thinking, does not revert easily. It may wander, but it returns. It may encounter old impressions, but it does not obey them. Obedience belongs to familiarity, and familiarity has been replaced. Time is now your ally. Time cooperates with order. It resists confusion. When thought is aligned, time becomes an assistant rather than an adversary. Many men spend their lives racing against time because their thinking is disordered. Order removes this race. You will notice this first in small ways. Decisions will require less debate. Recovery from error will be quicker. Distraction will lose its grip sooner. These signs appear before results because results require time to assemble. Do not mistake this delay for absence. Nature never reveals her work while it is being done. I have seen men abandon sound efforts because they expected immediate confirmation. Confirmation is always delayed. The law of cause and effect is exact, but it is not theatrical. It does not announce progress until progress is secure. Your progress is now secure. Security does not mean immunity from difficulty. It means difficulty no longer alters direction. Direction, once established, becomes the governing factor in all experience. Events rearrange themselves around it. Opportunities emerge that could not be seen before because the mind was not prepared to recognize them. Preparation has been accomplished. You may notice that chance encounters take on new significance. Conversations yield ideas, ordinary circumstances present openings. This is not coincidence. It is recognition sharpened by ordered thought. Men who live in confusion overlook what is obvious. Men who live in order recognize what is useful. Usefulness attracts reward. Reward follows direction. I have long taught that riches come in response to a definite purpose backed by faith. Faith, in its highest form, is not excitement. It is expectancy without anxiety. That expectancy has been trained here. Anxiety was the signal of uncertainty. Uncertainty has been removed. What remains is quiet anticipation. Quiet anticipation does not strain the nerves, it steadies them. It allows the body and mind to work in cooperation rather than conflict. This cooperation extends beyond the individual. Other minds respond to it. They sense clarity. They sense dependability. They sense readiness. Readiness is the condition opportunity seeks. Opportunity does not announce itself to the frantic. It presents itself to the prepared. You are now prepared. Preparation does not require constant alertness. It requires consistency. Consistency has been installed through habit. Habit is the carrier of destiny. You may find that the future feels less threatening. This is not because danger has disappeared, but because you are no longer disorganized within. Organization reduces fear. Fear thrives in confusion. Confidence thrives in order. Confidence does not demand proof. It allows proof to appear. I have observed that men who succeed over long periods develop a particular calm. That calm is not indifference. It is assurance rooted in experience of law. They have seen enough cause-produce effect that doubt no longer troubles them. You are now entering that experience. Experience begins quietly. It accumulates. It strengthens. Do not look for sudden transformation. Sudden change belongs to emotion. Lasting change belongs to habit. Habit has been rebuilt. The structure now supporting your life is sound. It will not collapse under pressure because it was not built hastily. It was formed through repetition, patience, and allowance. Allowance is the highest form of control. Control through strain breaks, control through order endures. You may encounter moments when effort seems unnecessary. This is not laziness. It is efficiency. Efficiency arises when resistance has been removed. Resistance has been removed inwardly. Outward resistance will follow. This is not speculation. It is law. The law that governs the mind governs the life. As you move forward, allow yourself to trust the process you have initiated. Trust does not require belief. It requires understanding that repetition has already done its work. You do not need to remind yourself of this daily. Reminding suggests doubt. Let behavior reveal the change instead. Behavior is the most honest evidence of inner condition. Watch behavior, not thought. Thought has already been corrected. When behavior changes, results follow. When results follow, confidence deepens. Confidence deepens silently. You may find that ambition now feels steadier and less restless. Restlessness belongs to uncertainty. Steadiness belongs to direction. Direction has been secured. You are no longer wandering mentally, even when circumstances feel unclear. Inner direction guides you through outer uncertainty. This is the mark of a disciplined mind. Discipline does not shout, it remains. Others will notice this remaining quality. They may not name it, but they will feel it. They will trust it. Trust multiplies influence. Influence multiplies opportunity. Opportunity rewards preparation. Preparation has been completed. You may find that you are less impressed by noise and more attentive to substance. This shift marks maturity of thought. Substance endures. Noise fades. Men who chase noise remain unsettled. Men who value substance build steadily. You are now building steadily. Building requires time. Time cooperates. Do not measure progress in days. Measure it in direction maintained. Direction maintained always produces result. Always. I have never seen an exception. Those who claim exception abandon direction before time could reward it. You will not abandon direction because retreat has lost. Familiarity. Familiarity governs behavior more than desire. Your familiarity has changed. This change is irreversible so long as repetition remains unchallenged. You have learned not to challenge progress unnecessarily. That learning alone protects you. From this point forward, life will present its usual demands. Work will be required. Decisions will arise. Obstacles will appear. The difference lies in your response. Response is now guided by order. Order produces intelligent response. Intelligent response produces advantage. Advantage compounds. Compounding is slow at first. Then it becomes noticeable. Then it becomes undeniable. This is the arc you have entered. Do not rush it. Allow it. The night has done its work. The mind has accepted instruction. Habit has assumed command. Law is operating. There is nothing further to add, nothing further to correct, nothing further to force. Live. Proceed. Allow time to cooperate. The end has already been secured by the beginning. Rest now in this. Understanding. What you have become inwardly will express itself outwardly, and it will do so in its own time. That time will be right. Always, there is a version of you the world has never met, stronger, clearer, bolder, decisive, and tonight, while you sleep, I intend to bring that version forward. Identity is not fixed. It is not fate. It is a construct built by repeated thought. And tonight, we rebuild it into something unstoppable. You've carried an identity shaped by past mistakes, old fears, and the quiet criticism of others. Without realizing it, you've accepted labels that shrank your potential. I'm inconsistent. I'm not disciplined. I never follow through. These beliefs have ruled your decisions as if they were law. But they are not law. They are choices. Choices you no longer have to obey. Pause and think about this. Everything you've ever achieved, every success, every step forward came from moments when you saw yourself differently, even if only for a second. Moments when you believed you could, so you did. But those moments were rare because your identity has been built on doubt instead of conviction. Tonight we change the foundation. Identity is formed in the subconscious, and the subconscious is most open, most malleable while you sleep. This is why the same man can live two entirely different lives depending on what he repeats to himself before drifting off. Tonight, you will give your deeper mind a new blueprint, the identity of a man who does not hesitate, does not shrink, does not break. Imagine waking tomorrow with a feeling you haven't known in years. You open your eyes and there is no heaviness, no dread, no negotiation with yourself. Instead, you feel purpose rise in you like heat. You move toward the day with an inner certainty you didn't have the night before. That shift is not magic, it is identity realignment. Consider how often your identity has sabotaged you. Think of the times you intended to change, wake up earlier, pursue a goal, commit to discipline, yet your old identity pulled you backward like a chain. You weren't failing in action, you were failing in identity. A man cannot act consistently in a way that contradicts who he believes himself to be. Tonight we remove that contradiction. But listen closely. Identity is not changed by wishing. It is changed by installation, by suggestion, by repetition, by emotion, by the quiet hours when the conscious mind sleeps and the subconscious absorbs without resistance. That is why these next hours matter more than anything you will do tomorrow. You may think identity is shaped by circumstance, but that is the illusion most men die believing. Circumstance reflects identity, not the other way around. A man who sees himself as a leader is treated as one. A man who believes he is capable attracts capability. A man who believes he is strong becomes strong. The universe responds not to desire but to identity. Let me show you a simple example. Picture a man who decides he will get in shape. He buys equipment, plans routines, sets goals, but deep down, he still sees himself as someone who quits, Within weeks, the identity defeats the plan. But if that same man accepts a new identity, I am disciplined. I finish what I start. The plan becomes unnecessary. The identity produces the action effortlessly. Identity dictates behavior. And tonight we build the identity that matches the life you want. Think back to moments when you felt unstoppable, moments when something inside you knew you were meant for more than the life you were living. Those moments were glimpses of your true identity trying to break through. But glimpses are not enough. They must become your dominant state. You must sleep as that man, rise as that man, act as that man. Tonight you begin the greatest shift of your life, identity reconstruction. But first, you must release the identity built by fear. Fear has convinced you that you are smaller than your potential. Fear has whispered lies until they felt familiar. Fear has shaped your habits, your posture, your decisions. But fear can only shape a man who accepts it. Tonight, your subconscious will reject it. As you drift toward sleep, your mind will soften. The old beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm too late, I can't change, will lose their grip. The subconscious does not defend them, it merely repeats what has been fed. Feed it something stronger, something definite, and it will obey. Let me paint a scene. Tomorrow morning, you sit at the edge of your bed. Normally, you would hesitate, scrolling, distracting yourself, delaying the day. But not this time. You stand up with a sense of direction you cannot explain. Your mind feels sharper. Your decisions feel easier. You feel aligned with something you once only imagined. This is identity installation. Do not underestimate this process. The conscious mind is loud, but the subconscious is powerful. It governs your habits, your instincts, your reactions. If your subconscious accepts a new identity tonight, your life will begin changing without effort. You will make decisions that old versions of you would not dare make. You will act with a confidence that surprises even you. But there is a warning. If you listen to these words casually, nothing will happen. Identity shifts require presence, attention, emotional surrender. You must allow these truths to settle deeper than your doubts. Identity collapses when a man chooses passivity. Identity sharpens when a man chooses intention. Tonight, choose intention. Imagine yourself 12 months from now, unrecognizable in the best possible way. Your life expanded, your opportunities multiplied, your circle elevated, your confidence undeniable. People will ask, what changed? And you will know. Your identity changed first, and everything else rearranged itself around it. You are not broken. You are simply misidentified. And a misidentified man lives below his potential, no matter how great that potential is. But once you identify as the man you are meant to become, the world begins treating you accordingly. Let yourself sink into this truth. The greatest limits in your life have never come from the outside. They came from the story you accepted about who you were. Change the story, and the limits vanish. You are not rebuilding your life, you are rebuilding the person who lives it. So breathe slowly. Let your tension dissolve. Let your body grow heavy. These next hours will not merely soothe you, they will reshape you. What you hear tonight will plant new identity commands deep within your subconscious until they become your natural state. And when you rise in the morning, something inside you will declare, I am unstoppable. Not because you pushed yourself, not because you forced anything, but because your identity finally matches your destiny. Sleep now and wake as the man you were always meant to be. As you drift toward the stillness of night, allow your mind to recall the truth it has long forgotten. Within you lives a greater likeness than the one you have shown the world, a likeness formed before fear smudged its outline. This likeness has slept beneath layers of doubt, yet it remained whole, waiting only for your recognition. You have lived many years under the weight of borrowed impressions. Teachers, companions, failures, and careless words painted images upon your mind that never belonged to you. These impressions gathered like dust upon a mirror, dimming the reflection of your rightful nature. Tonight, as your body grows heavy with rest, that dust begins to fall away. Identity is not the sum of your mistakes. It is not the shadow cast by fear. It is the inward figure you hold of yourself. And as this figure shifts, your entire world bends to its new outline. Men rise or fall according to this inward likeness. They succeed or fail according to the picture they habitually contemplate. Within you exists the rightful heir, your stronger nature. This heir has waited patiently behind the noise of your doubts. It has spoken through moments when you acted bravely, though you believed yourself timid. It guided you in hours when you solved problems others feared to touch. It whispered through victories you dismissed as luck. Tonight, that heir steps quietly into view. Let your breath ease, let your thoughts lengthen. As the conscious mind grows faint, the deeper mind awakens to receive truth without resistance. And the truth is this: the greater self within you has never been touched by fear, never weakened by failure, never diminished by criticism. It remains whole, steady, and prepared to lead your life with dignity. Consider the young messenger boy who once believed himself insignificant. His steps were timid because his inward likeness was timid. Yet one day he pictured himself as capable, and this new picture altered his bearing. His employer sensed the change and entrusted him with greater tasks. Others later claimed he possessed natural authority, unaware that authority began as a quiet thought in a quiet mind. Tonight, similar thoughts take root within you. Your higher nature rises the way dawn approaches the horizon, not suddenly, but inevitably. As fear's mist thins from the inward mirror, clarity returns. Your true likeness is revealed not by effort, but by remembrance. You are not creating a new identity. You are recognizing the one that has always belonged to you. Repeat within gently, "I recall the strength that lives within me." Allow the words to settle upon your deeper mind like warm light upon cold stone. Again, "My true likeness grows clearer in silence." Again, "The rightful heir within me steps forward." Each repetition removes another grain of dust from the inward mirror. The subconscious accepts truth as readily as it once accepted doubt. It resists nothing repeated with calm conviction. Tonight, remembrance becomes the sculptor of your identity. Every phrase you hear becomes another brushstroke, revealing the figure beneath. Think now of the schoolteacher who believed her voice held no weight. She carried the likeness of a timid guide, and so her life reflected that likeness. But in one still evening she imagined herself as a leader of minds. Her manner changed first. Her tone gained clarity. Her step gained steadiness. Within months she became a figure her peers relied upon. Her rise did not begin with skill. It began with identity. So it shall be with you. Others will sense a quiet strength in your presence. They will speak to you as though you have always possessed certainty. They will treat you according to the likeness you now allow to rise. Without effort, without strain, your life begins to align with the truth of who you are. Now breathe and release. Repeat silently, "Within me rests a power I have long ignored." Allow the phrase to settle deep. "I welcome the rise of my rightful self." Your true identity awakens as you sleep, and the world you meet tomorrow will reflect the man who rises from this night. As you drift more deeply into rest, notice how the thoughts of the day begin to loosen their grip. The conscious mind, with all its hurried judgments, recedes like a tide withdrawing from shore. In this retreat, your deeper mind rises. And with its rising comes the opportunity to dissolve the identity you once obeyed but never chose. For years, you have worn a mask, not out of dishonesty, but out of habit. The mask was shaped by early criticism, by the careless opinions of those who did not understand your nature, by failures that left their mark upon a young mind unprepared to question them. Over time, you accepted these impressions as truth, and the mask became familiar. But familiarity is not destiny. As your breath grows steady, imagine this mask resting lightly upon your features, not fused, not permanent, merely placed there long ago. It has grown heavy, not because it belongs to you, but because you have carried it for so long. Tonight, we loosen its ties. Think of the timid clerk who believed his thoughts held no weight. For years he shrank from offering suggestions, fearing his judgment lacked worth. Yet one day he recognized that this fear did not originate within him. It had been installed by a stern superior whose voice echoed long after the man had departed. The moment the clerk understood the mask was borrowed, it began to slip. His manner changed quietly. His employer sensed new steadiness. Responsibility increased. And soon, those around him spoke of his natural insight, unaware that the insight had always been present, concealed only by the mask he finally removed. Allow your own mask to loosen. Feel the threads that once held it firm begin to unravel. You do not tear it away. You simply stop holding it in place. A man becomes free not by force, but by recognition. And recognition dawns now. The beliefs that weakened you were never yours. The false identity speaks in the voice of hesitation. I must not fail. It speaks in the voice of retreat. I am not ready. It speaks in the voice of unworthiness. Others are stronger than I. These phrases were repeated so often that your mind assumed they were your own. But repetition alone gives an idea its claim, not truth. And tonight, a stronger truth comes forward to dissolve the lesser claims. As sleep deepens, picture your old beliefs not as commands, but as fog drifting across the landscape of your mind. Fog cannot resist the rising sun. It cannot argue. It cannot hold its position once light grows strong. The light is growing now. Repeat softly in your mind. These beliefs were borrowed. I return them. Feel the weight ease. Feel the fog lift. You are not at war with your old identity. You are allowing it to melt. Consider the apprentice carpenter who believed his hands were clumsy. He had accepted this impression in youth when a teacher mocked his early attempts. For years he moved uncertainly, shrinking from finer work. Then one evening he pictured himself as a craftsman of precision. The picture was faint at first, but he held it with gentle persistence. Soon his touch grew steadier. His master trusted him with delicate tasks. Others called him a born craftsman, unaware that the belief shaping his movements had changed in silence long before skill appeared. You too are shaped by the beliefs you hold while the world sleeps. The false identity weakens now. It loses its foundation. It cannot stand when you no longer support it with thought. Identity is sustained by attention. Withdraw attention, and the structure folds quietly. Repeat inwardly, I release the thoughts that never belonged to me. Let the phrase echo softly, like a stone sinking into deep water. The old mask loosens and falls away. Now, turn your attention to the space beneath the mask. There is no emptiness there. There is clarity. There is space for the likeness of your rightful self to appear. The moment the mask begins to slip, the true face of your nature comes forward. Do not rush. Identity does not need force. It needs surrender. You are not tearing down anything real. You are allowing illusion to fade. Imagine now a quiet table inside the workshop of your mind. Upon this table rests every belief you once accepted, some placed there by fear, some by exhaustion, some by voices long gone from your life. See them clearly. I cannot change. I am late. I am ordinary. I never follow through. Now take one belief in your hand. Examine it. Does it carry the weight of truth or merely the weight of repetition? Hold it to the light of your deeper knowing. Watch as its edges soften. Watch as its form dissolves. Watch as it melts like wax before flame. Your deeper mind accepts only what aligns with your true nature. Anything contrary to that nature cannot survive once seen clearly. For years, the false identity guided your actions like a weak compass pointing nowhere. Each time you tried to rise, the needle wavered. Each time you attempted change, the needle spun. But now, as you release the mask and dissolve the borrowed beliefs, the compass steadies. A man guided by a steady compass cannot drift. Repeat within, I no longer act from borrowed weakness. My deeper mind awakens to truth. Your false identity has held you back, not because it was strong, but because you believed it was you. Identity cannot control a man once he recognizes it as false. The moment recognition occurs, the illusion collapses. and collapse is occurring now softly, silently, without struggle. Think of the shopkeeper who, after years of timid conduct, discovered that his uncertainty originated from a childhood rebuke. The belief was not his, it belonged to the memory of one unwise voice. When he recognized the source, the belief lost its power. His bearing changed, his shop prospered. His neighbors claimed he found confidence, but he had merely stopped believing a lie. So too will others interpret your transformation. They will assume you gained confidence. They will assume you strengthened your will. But the truth is simpler. You stopped supporting the false identity with thought. Your subconscious is listening closely now, free from the noise of daytime concerns. It hears truth clearly, it accepts truth willingly, it obeys truth faithfully. Let these words fall into it like seeds into prepared soil. The identity shaped by fear dissolves. The likeness I carried in error fades. I return to the self that matches my nature. Breathe deeply, slowly. Identity melts, the same way the winter frost melts beneath the morning sun gradually, yet inevitably. When the frost disappears, the ground beneath is revealed fresh, ready to bear new growth. You are now in that state of readiness. As your body sinks deeper into rest, feel the inward shift, subtle but unmistakable. You are becoming empty of false impressions. And in this emptiness, strength quietly enters. The higher self moves forward, not as a stranger, but as a long unseen friend returning home. Others will witness a change in you that they cannot name. They will hear greater firmness in your voice. They will observe new steadiness in your decisions. They will respond to you with respect that once seemed withheld. They will feel the presence of a man no longer governed by borrowed doubts. For now, simply allow the old identity to fade. There is nothing for you to do. There is only truth to receive. Let the final words of this part anchor themselves within you. I welcome the unveiling of my true identity. That which was false returns to nothing. The likeness of my stronger nature comes forward. Sink deeper, and let the mask fall away. Your true self approaches. As the night deepens and your conscious thoughts fall away, the quiet chambers of your inner mind open. In this stillness, the stronger part of your nature rises, not loudly, not suddenly, but with a certainty that reveals it has always been there. You are not becoming something new, you are remembering something ancient, something essential, something unmistakably your own. You have glimpsed this higher nature before, in moments when you acted with unusual courage, in moments when clarity seized you without warning, in moments when you solved a challenge others retreated from. Those were not accidents. They were the voice of your true self breaking through the noise. Consider how a sunrise appears. It does not break the sky all at once. First a faint line of light, then an outline, then a quiet glow. Then the full face of the day. So it is with the higher self. It reveals itself gradually until no trace of night remains in the mind. Allow yourself to notice, even now, a faint but growing sense of inward steadiness. This is the higher self taking its rightful place. Its presence has been concealed beneath layers of fear, habit, and borrowed belief, but you have already begun loosening those layers. And now the rightful heir steps forward. Repeat inwardly with calm authority. The greater nature within me rises. Let the words sink like a stone dropped into deep water. Again, I recognize the strength that has waited within me. Feel the gentle awakening, not forceful, not demanding, but steady. Think now of the young stenographer who spent years believing she lacked refinement. She carried herself according to that belief, soft voice, uncertain posture, hesitant manner. Yet the day she pictured herself as a woman of clarity and confidence, something within her stirred. Her tone sharpened, her movements assumed purpose. Her employer sensed dignity before she herself recognized it. And soon she rose into positions once hidden from her view. She did not become someone new. She remembered who she already was. So it is with you. Your higher nature has been waiting for the moment when your inner mind could hear it clearly. And tonight, in the silence of rest, your mind is more receptive than at any waking hour. Imagine now the shape of your true self, not in detail, but in quality. Imagine steadiness. Imagine clarity. Imagine a sense of direction born not of effort but of inward certainty. This is the self that has always guided your best decisions. It is the same self that refused to surrender when you were tested. It is the same self that whispered, "Rise," when the world pushed you down. Let this presence expand. Your deeper mind accepts images more readily than words. So picture the higher self standing behind you, calm and tall, its hand resting lightly upon your shoulder. This is not a figure of fantasy. It is the sum of your potential, your discipline, your purpose, your desires, your will, your courage, all gathered into one form. You have mistaken yourself for the surface for too long. Identity is not built from your mistakes. Identity is revealed from your strengths. Repeat within, slowly, with reverence. I see the stronger self within me. I invite it to take its place. With each repetition, the image sharpens. Consider the apprentice lawyer who doubted his value. He felt he lacked authority, but his doubt was nothing more than a faint picture left by earlier failures. One day, he remembered a single moment when he defended a friend with conviction. That memory became the seed of a new inward likeness. He repeated it, shaped it, strengthened it in the quiet of his mind. In time, he spoke in the courtroom with such certainty that observers believed he had always possessed such mastery. They saw the higher self he had finally allowed to rise. Your higher self is rising now, not with noise, but with inevitability. Picture this. Every time you choose confidence over doubt, you step closer to the rightful heir. Every time you choose decision over hesitation, you stand taller within your own structure. Every time you choose purpose over drifting, you reinforce the foundation of your identity. Identity does not change through sudden effort. Identity changes through continual alignment with truth. And the truth is simple. You are more than the weaknesses you once believed. You are more than the fears you once obeyed. You are more than the limitations you once accepted. Let your deeper mind consider the craftsman who formed a fine instrument from rough wood. He did not impose form by force. He removed what did not belong. The form already existed within the wood. His task was only to reveal it. Tonight, all that does not belong to your true nature continues to fall away. And what remains, what rises, is the self you were meant to express. Notice now a growing calm, a quiet dignity, a sense of inward expansion. These sensations are signs that your higher self steps into the foreground. Repeat in the silence of your deeper mind. My higher nature guides me. I rise into the likeness of my true self. Feel yourself settling into this new identity, not as an aspiration, but as a homecoming. There is nothing unnatural about confidence. There is nothing foreign about clarity. There is nothing extraordinary about purpose. These qualities have lived within you since the beginning. You simply return to them now. Others will recognize this shift before you speak of it. They will sense it in your posture, your tone, your gaze. They will trust you more readily. They will confide in you. They will treat you as a man of steady judgment and strong presence. They will see the higher self you now reveal. You do not force this revelation. You allow it. Now let the following affirmations shape your inward likeness. I welcome the rise of the greater self. I walk in the strength of my true nature. The deeper part of me comes forward with ease. My rightful self becomes my living identity. You are no longer drifting toward this. Identity, you are inhabiting it. Let the feeling grow. Let the image sharpen. Let the rightful heir sit upon the inward throne. Rest now in the presence of the self you are becoming. It has waited long enough. Tonight, it takes its place. As your body settles deeper into rest and your breath finds its natural rhythm, your mind enters a state where suggestion becomes law. In this quiet chamber, the will is strengthened, sharpened, and installed as the rightful commander of your thoughts. A man does not rise because circumstances favor him, he rises because he governs himself. And tonight, you begin the gentle but definite installation of inward authority. For too long, your thoughts have wandered without direction, responding to moods, fears, and the opinions of others. This wandering was not a fault of your nature. It was simply the result of an untrained will. But the will, like any faculty, grows strong with attention. And tonight, in the stillness of your deeper mind, you place the will upon its throne. Imagine the will as a quiet conductor standing before the orchestra of your mind. Without the conductor, the instruments play out of harmony, each following its own impulses. But when the conductor raises his hand, the scattered sounds gather into purpose. So it is with your thoughts. They do not resist order, they simply await leadership. Repeat inwardly, "My will directs my thought with calm certainty." Allow the words to settle into the deeper layers of your consciousness. Again, "I command my mind with gentle authority." Feel the shift. It begins subtly, as a settling, a quieting. Thoughts that once rushed or tangled now move in orderly lines. Consider the shopkeeper who lived many years in hesitation. His days were marked by indecision, not from weakness but from the absence of inner direction. One morning he resolved to issue a clear inward command before leaving his home. "Today I act with strength and clarity." At first the command felt artificial, yet he repeated it, not with strain, but with steadiness. Within weeks his hesitation faded. His customers sensed confidence. His employees followed his lead. Business flourished. His rise began not with knowledge, but with inward command. So it shall be with you. For the subconscious does not argue with conviction. It obeys. Your will is not an instrument of force. It is an instrument of order. It gathers your scattered energies and directs them toward a single line of purpose. As you sleep, this inward commander grows clearer, stronger, more defined. Repeat silently, "My thoughts follow the course I set." Now picture the mind as a great vessel on open waters. Without a captain, the ship is at the mercy of wind and tide. It drifts, turns, hesitates. But when a captain stands firmly at the helm, even storm winds cannot break the vessel's course. The sea yields to the steady hand. Tonight, you become the captain of your inner vessel. The wheel is placed in your hands. Your will stands firmly behind you, guiding your grip. Feel the steadiness enter. It is calm, not tense. It is confident, not hurried. Think of the accountant who believed himself ordinary. He performed his duties with precision, yet he doubted his worth. One day he resolved to picture himself as a man of sound judgment. This inward image, repeated quietly, altered his conduct. His employer noticed the change. Soon he was entrusted with responsibilities that shaped entire enterprises. His success was not a reward for talent alone, it was the fruit of inner command. When you command yourself gently, you awaken energies that have slept. When you direct your mind with certainty, your actions follow with ease. Identity takes form under the guidance of the will. Repeat softly, "I give my will its rightful place. My mind obeys my chosen direction." Notice how these words feel within you, steady, grounding, anchoring. Your deeper mind is accepting them. Every man who has risen to greatness has done so because he governed himself before governing outward affairs. Napoleon Hill learned this truth from captains of industry, from inventors, from statesmen, from builders of empires. Behind every achievement was a will trained to hold a steady course. Your will now receives similar training. Imagine a lantern held by the conductor of your mind. This lantern is the power of controlled attention. Wherever the lantern shines, growth occurs. Wherever it shines, strength accumulates. Tonight, the lantern shines upon your identity, your higher nature, your chosen likeness. Thoughts not aligned with your identity remain in the dark. Thoughts that strengthen you receive light. This is how the will governs. Repeat inwardly, "My attention follows my purpose. My will strengthens the self I am becoming." Let these words anchor themselves deeply. Now imagine yourself standing in a quiet chamber. Before you are 3 doors. one labeled fear, one labeled doubt, one labeled delay. Behind you stands your higher self, tall and certain. At your side stands your will, steady and calm. Together, they guide you toward the fourth door, the door without a name, the door of chosen identity. As you walk toward it, the other doors fade. Your mind no longer wanders toward them. Your will does not permit it. This is inward command, not force, but guidance. Not tension, but clarity. Now hear this truth. A man becomes unstoppable when his will and his identity agree. You are entering that agreement tonight. Think again of the machinist who rose to become an engineer. He shaped his identity patiently until his inward likeness became firm. But what sealed his rise was the alignment of that likeness with his will. Once he commanded himself to live as the capable man he envisioned, his actions moved with certainty. His co-workers believed he possessed some rare inner gift. He did. And so do you. Repeat, my will and my identity are united. I walk the course I have chosen. As these words echo softly within you, feel the inner structure forming, a framework of confidence, a foundation of purpose, a spine of quiet authority. Others will sense this change before you speak of it. They will observe a steadiness that was not present before. Your presence will carry weight. Your tone will reveal purpose. Your decisions will appear to arise from deeper conviction. They will see a man who commands himself, and a man who commands himself commands his destiny. Now sink deeper into rest. Let the will hold its place. Let inward command solidify as you sleep. For when you rise, you will act as one who has found his direction. Repeat silently as you drift. I command myself with certainty. My will holds firm. My identity follows the course of my purpose. Rest now. The conductor has lifted his hand. The orchestra of your mind prepares to play in harmony. As the night deepens and your breath settles into its slow and steady rhythm, the mind becomes a workshop in perfect order. The noise of the conscious world fades, leaving only the quiet hum of inner activity. Here, in this stillness, the new identity begins to take shape, not hurriedly, not by force, but with the patient craftsmanship that brings all lasting creations into form. Identity is not born in an instant. It is shaped the way a sculptor shapes stone, by removing what does not belong and refining what remains. The block is already present within you. The figure hidden inside it is your higher nature. And tonight, your deeper mind begins to reveal its outline. Imagine your identity as raw material resting upon the craftsman's bench. The tools of shaping lie before you: imagination, desire, repetition, attention, faith. These tools have been waiting for your command. In the past, fear may have guided your hand. Now the rightful sculptor takes his place. Repeat gently, I shape my identity with purpose. Let the words settle like firm hands upon the inward stone. Again, the man I am becoming is formed by my chosen thought. Consider the apprentice machinist who lived many years believing himself ordinary. Each day he performed tasks mechanically, unaware that a greater pattern slept within him. Yet when he pictured himself as a capable engineer, calm, precise, decisive, the picture stirred something in him. His posture shifted, his tone steadied, his work sharpened, his foreman noticed, responsibility increased. And soon he became the very man he once imagined faintly in the quiet of his mind. This is the law of inward formation. Identity follows imagination. Life follows identity. Tonight, your imagination becomes the master artisan. Picture the qualities you desire to embody, not as distant ideals, but as inward shapes already present beneath the surface. Strength, clarity, decision, dignity, purpose. Let these qualities gather like warm light behind a curtain. As the curtain opens, the likeness takes form. You are not inventing qualities, you are revealing them. Repeat softly, the form of my greater self grows clear. Your subconscious accepts images readily. It does not resist truth when truth is presented with calm focus. Imagine yourself standing with the bearing of a man who knows his direction. Your shoulders are relaxed but firm. Your voice holds quiet certainty. Your thoughts move with order. This is not imagination alone, it is identity taking shape. See the potter at his wheel. The clay is soft beneath his hands. The wheel turns slowly. With each rotation, the form becomes clearer. Repetition is the turning of the wheel. Thought is the shaping hand. So it is with you. Your identity softens beneath the influence of calm, repeated thought. Your higher nature becomes the mold. Your will becomes the guiding touch. Repeat inwardly, my thoughts sculpt the man I am becoming. Consider the seamstress who spent her early life believing she possessed only ordinary skill. But when she envisioned herself as an artist of fabric, her work transformed. Her hands moved with confidence. Her ideas grew bold. Patrons sensed the new quality and sought her out. They saw the identity she shaped inwardly long before she earned outward recognition. Identity precedes expression. Expression precedes recognition. Recognition follows inevitably. Tonight, identity precedes expression. Feel the inward material warming beneath the influence of your desire. Desire is not longing, it is the fire beneath the forge. It softens the metal of your habits, making them bend willingly toward new shape. Repeat within, my desire warms the material of my nature. See the craftsman's chisel, lifted and lowered, lifted and lowered. Each strike is small, each strike is gentle, each strike aligns with purpose. In time, the rough block reveals the figure hidden within. Your repetition serves as the craftsman's chisel. Every thought you accept, every image you hold, every affirmation you repeat, each becomes a stroke, revealing the shape of your true identity. The deeper mind shapes itself around what you dwell upon. If you dwell upon fear, you carve a likeness of fear. If you dwell upon strength, you carve the likeness of strength. Tonight, you dwell upon strength. Repeat silently, strength shapes my inward form. Clarity shapes my inward form. Purpose shapes my inward form. The identity you now sculpt will govern your conduct upon waking. You will rise with a steadier sense of yourself. You will reach decisions with less strain. You will speak with quiet authority. You will move in harmony with your chosen direction. These changes will not feel forced. They will feel natural, as though you have returned to a forgotten pattern. Imagine now that your new identity stands before you like a statue emerging from stone. The outline is clear. The posture is strong. The face carries dignity. This is the self you have always sensed you could become. You now allow it to take full form. Repeat subtly, I welcome the form of my greater self. As you sink deeper into rest, imagine running your hands over the inward sculpture. Feel its firmness. Feel its clarity. Feel the truth of its shape. No rough edges remain from the old identity. They have been carved away. Only the true figure stands. Your new identity is not loud. It does not boast. It does not force itself into the world. It simply is. And because it is, your world begins to rearrange itself around it. Picture someone meeting you tomorrow. Observe how they speak to you. Their tone holds greater respect. Their posture shifts subtly. They recognize something that even you have barely begun to express. They see the inward shape reflected outward. Identity cannot remain hidden. It shines through expression. It shines through bearing. It shines through the smallest choice. Tonight, you shape the identity that will shine through your life. Repeat once more. I shape my identity with purpose and patience. The figure of my stronger nature stands clear within me. Allow these words to settle like a warm weight upon the mind. Notice the calm. Notice the warmth. Notice the steadiness. Your identity is taking form. The sculptor continues his quiet work as you sleep. And when you rise as the man shaped by tonight's intention. Rest now in the workshop of your mind. The chisel moves patiently. The form grows radiant. The figure stands taller with each breath. Your new identity is being shaped with deliberate care, and soon it will guide your every act. As the deeper mind continues its quiet work in the silence of night, a new element enters the shaping of your identity purpose. Identity without purpose is a ship with no destination. Identity with purpose is a vessel guided by a fixed star, steady even when the seas shift. Tonight, your newly formed identity finds its direction. Purpose is not a wish. It is not a fleeting enthusiasm. It is the inward conviction that your life is meant for definite expression. It is the central note in the symphony of your character, the note that holds all others in harmony. Without it, you drift. With it, you advance. Allow your breath to slow. Allow your mind to quiet. Purpose enters not by force, but by recognition. Repeat softly, "My life moves in a chosen direction." Now imagine a great compass resting within your chest. Its needle has wavered for years, tugged by doubt, by fear, by the opinions of others. But as your identity grows clearer, the needle begins to steady. And now, with the rise of purpose, it locks into place. This stillness is direction. This steadiness is destiny. Consider the delivery boy who once wandered through life without aim. He passed from one task to another, directed by circumstance rather than choice. Yet one day he formed a quiet but definite inward aim to become the master of his own enterprise. That aim, though faint, became his compass. His actions sharpened. His decisions grew simple. Opportunities seemed to appear without explanation. And within years, he owned the very business he once served in obscurity. His rise was not the product of fortune. It was the result of aligning identity with purpose. Tonight, you enter the same alignment. Repeat inwardly, "My purpose guides every step I take." Feel the words sink deeper. Feel the compass settle firmly. Feel your direction stabilize. Purpose does not need to be complicated. Purpose does not need to be grand. It needs only to be definite. It is the quiet pledge you make to yourself in the highest part of your nature. I will become the strongest version of myself. Or, I will serve with excellence and integrity. Or, I will create something worthy of my potential. Whatever form your purpose takes, it becomes the anchor of your identity. Think of the carpenter who once doubted his worth. For years he believed himself unfit for great responsibility. But the day he pledged inwardly to become a master builder, his work changed. He arrived earlier. He focused more keenly. His hands moved with precision. Others noticed. They trusted him with larger projects. Wealth followed. Respect followed. Leadership followed. All because he united identity with purpose. Purpose awakens energy that sleep cannot diminish. Purpose ignites desire that fatigue cannot extinguish. Purpose gives direction to every thought, every action, every breath. Repeat quietly, "My purpose strengthens my identity." Identity and purpose move as one within me. You may feel within you a sense of inward expansion. This is the merging of direction with identity. No longer are you a man who acts from habit. You are a man who acts from aim. This distinction separates those who drift through life from those who command their destiny. Imagine yourself walking upon a long road. In the past, the road was hazy. You changed direction often, uncertain which path belonged to you. But now the road is clear. The horizon is steady. You walk with measured steps, with calm pace, with growing certainty. This road symbolizes purpose, and tonight you commit to it. Repeat softly, "I walk the path chosen by my deeper nature." The deeper mind obeys purpose with great loyalty. Once it accepts direction, it moves your energy, your imagination, your will, your habits, your decisions, all in alignment with that direction. You do not need to command every action. Purpose commands them for you. This is why men of great achievement often appear calm. They are not without struggle. They are without confusion. Purpose dissolves confusion the way sunlight dissolves shadow. Consider the musician who lived in fear of inadequacy. His heart yearned to compose, yet he saw himself as a hobbyist unworthy of serious pursuit. But when he fixed his purpose inwardly to create works of meaning, his manner changed. He practiced with devotion. Inspiration visited him. Patrons recognized his talent. Soon, he became the man he once believed himself unworthy to be. Purpose unlocked the identity he needed. Let this truth take root in you. A man rises not because of what he does, but because of who he becomes. And who he becomes is determined by the purpose he chooses. Repeat gently with inward authority, "My purpose defines the man I am becoming. I unite my identity with my aim." Feel how these words strengthen your inner structure. Identity grows steady. Purpose grows bright. The two begin to fuse. Now imagine a great bow in your hands. Identity is the bow, strong, shaped, prepared. Purpose is the target, clear, fixed, unchanging. Thought is the arrow. When the bow and target align, the arrow flies straight. Even a slight motion of the hand cannot divert it once released with intention. Your identity is the bow being drawn. Your purpose is the target standing firm. Your thought tonight and tomorrow is the arrow. Repeat softly, "My aim is clear, and my actions follow." As your deeper mind absorbs this truth, notice a shift in your sense of self. There is greater weight now, not heaviness, but substance. You feel anchored. You feel directed. You feel as though each breath draws you further into the life you were meant to live. Purpose makes a man predictable to himself. Purpose makes a man reliable to others. Purpose makes a man trustworthy to destiny. Tomorrow, those around you will feel this shift. They will see clarity in your eyes. They will hear certainty in your tone. They will assume you have discovered something important about yourself, and you have. You have discovered direction. Repeat inwardly one final time as you drift toward deeper sleep. My purpose leads me. My identity follows. My destiny opens before me. Rest now in the certainty of chosen direction. Your purpose-bound self is emerging with every breath. As the night nears its deepest hour and your mind settles into its quietest state, you enter the final stage of identity reconstruction, the moment when the new self becomes not a hope, not a picture, not a practice, but a living reality. The self you have shaped in silence rises now with a calm and steady triumph. Every thought repeated tonight, every image formed, every truth accepted has brought you to this moment of inner settlement. There is no conflict within you, no tension between old belief and new vision. The identity that once held you in limitation has dissolved. The identity you have chosen stands clear, firm, and complete. Imagine a great bell newly cast. While the metal cools, it holds no sound. But once the mold breaks away, the bell reveals its true shape and tone. Strike it gently and it sings. Your identity is such a bell. The mold of former beliefs has broken. The true tone of your nature rings through. Repeat softly, "My identity is whole. My identity is true." Feel the words settle deep, where the subconscious accepts them as fact. No man becomes strong by accident. Strength belongs to he who knows his own nature. Tonight, you have come to know yourself in a way many never do. You have touched the source from which confidence rises. You have met the inner figure from which courage flows. You have discovered the pattern upon which integrity is formed. This is not a new self, it is the rightful self, the self that was buried beneath years of borrowed belief. Now it breathes freely. Consider the once overlooked clerk whose transformation began with a single inward order. Over time, his clarity grew, his judgment sharpened, his presence deepened. Those around him treated him as though he possessed rare authority. Yet the truth was simple. He accepted his deeper identity and let it lead. This same acceptance is taking root within you. Your deeper mind is now steady, calm as still water reflecting the moon. No turbulence from doubt remains. No ripples from fear distort the reflection. You see yourself clearly. And in that clarity, conviction is born. Repeat inwardly, "I walk in the likeness of my true self. The deeper self guides my every step." Identity is not a garment you put on. It is the form of your being. When the form is clear, thoughts align with it. Habits align with it. Behavior aligns with it. Destiny aligns with it. All parts of life bend to the inward pattern you now hold. Imagine now a great door within your mind. Behind it rests every quality you have awakened tonight: strength, clarity, purpose, will, harmony. As your new identity settles, the door opens. These qualities do not rush outward. They flow steadily like warm light filling a room. You do not reach for these qualities. You express them. You do not strive to be this self. You are this self. Repeat softly: my identity expresses itself without effort. Consider the bookbinder who rose quietly to mastery. He shaped his inward likeness with patience. He repeated his vision until it felt natural. Eventually, the world saw him as he saw himself. Patrons trusted him. Students sought him. Opportunity moved toward him. His rise was not sudden. It was the quiet triumph of an identity fully accepted. This quiet triumph now belongs to you. Feel the inward form steady, refined, powerful in its calmness. Feel the shape of your thoughts aligning with this form. Feel your posture, even in sleep, settling into dignity. Feel your breath deepening, as though drawing strength from the very core of your being. Repeat within: my new identity stands firm. I remain true to the self I have chosen. Now imagine your life as a great landscape. Before tonight, parts of this landscape were dim roads, unclear, paths uncertain. But now, with identity complete, the land brightens. You see direction where fog once lay. You see opportunity where confusion once stood. You see capability where self-doubt once lingered. Identity clarifies vision. Vision clarifies action. Action clarifies destiny. Tomorrow, when you rise, you will feel this clarity. You will open your eyes and sense that something in your inner structure has shifted quietly but permanently. You will speak with steady assurance. You will act without hesitation. You will meet challenges with calm mind and firm will. Others will interpret your presence as confidence, but it will be more than that. It will be alignment. Repeat inwardly: I act with inner harmony. My identity and purpose walk as one. Notice how naturally these truths settle now. Earlier in your life, such statements may have felt foreign, but now they feel like returning home. This is the sign of identity completed. Truth feels familiar. Imagine once more the bow and the arrow. Before tonight, the bow bent weakly, the arrow wavered, and the target blurred. But now the bow is strong, shaped by identity. The arrow is straight, guided by will. The target is clear, set by purpose. When the arrow is released, its path is inevitable. This inevitability is the mark of a completed identity. Repeat softly: my path is steady. My aim is true. Think now of the great leaders Hill once studied, men who moved with conviction others could not explain. They possessed an inward certainty, not because circumstances favored them, but because identity governed them. Their thoughts followed their identity. Their habits followed their thoughts, and their achievements followed their habits. You now stand at the threshold of such certainty. Feel the inward throne beneath you, not a throne of dominance, but of rightful authority. The rightful heir, the higher self you awakened earlier, now occupies it fully. There is no rival within you, no conflicting voice, no lingering doubt. The identity that once pulled you backward has dissolved. The identity that leads you forward stands firm. Repeat inwardly: my rightful self governs my life. I follow the authority of my own higher nature. Notice how easily these statements settle. Notice how naturally they feel. This is the sign of completion. Now picture yourself tomorrow waking slowly, rising calmly. You stand from your bed with a steadiness you have not felt in years. You sense in your chest a quiet fire, a warmth, not of excitement alone, but of assurance. You dress with greater order. You walk with greater presence. You speak with greater clarity. Your decisions, once clouded, now appear simple. This is identity in action. Your completed identity now commands the respect of others, not through force, but through presence. People respond differently. They listen. They observe. They trust. They feel drawn to your steadiness, as though to a warm flame on a cold night. They see the man you have become. Repeat softly: I live as the man my identity has shaped. Sink deeper now into rest. Your identity is fully formed. Your purpose guides it. Your will protects it. Your higher nature sustains it. There is nothing more to force. There is nothing more to dissolve. There is only the quiet triumph of a self-made whole. Let the final truths of this night anchor themselves deeply. My identity is complete. My deeper self leads my life. I rise tomorrow as the man I was meant to be. Rest in this triumph. It is yours now. It will remain yours when you wake. As the long hours of this night draw toward their close, let your mind rest upon the quiet truth that now lives within you. You arrived here carrying impressions that once weighed upon your strength, impressions gathered from years of doubt, delay, and inward misjudgment. Yet as you moved through each stage of this night, those impressions loosened their hold, and the rightful likeness of your deeper self rose into view. Your transformation was not an act of force, nor the product of sudden excitement. It came through calm instruction, steady remembrance, and the disciplined acceptance of truth. You have rebuilt the inner structure upon which all purposeful lives are formed. And as you near the dawn, the self you now carry is stronger, clearer, and more firmly established than any you have known before. Consider how the sculptor completes his work. He does not strike wildly at the stone, nor hurry through the final strokes. He moves with patience, knowing that the last refinements determine the grace of the figure. In much the same way, the final hours of this night have added refinement to your identity. What remains now is not merely improvement, but completion. There exists within every man a moment when the work of inward change settles into permanence. The unstable becomes steady, the uncertain becomes sure, the scattered becomes whole. That moment arrives when identity ceases to feel foreign and begins to feel familiar. You have reached such a moment. Repeat within yourself, I am the man my thoughts have shaped. Let the words settle deep, where the mind accepts them not as hope, but as fact. You may sense now a calm strength resting across your being. This is the mark of inward harmony. Identity, will, and purpose stand aligned. No part of you pulls against any other. You are like a ship whose sails, mast, and rudder move in one direction. The winds of life may change, yet the course you steer remains steady. Think of the many moments in your journey when uncertainty clouded your actions. You moved forward with hesitation, not because you lacked ability, but because you lacked identity. Ability follows identity the way fruit follows the seed. Now the seed is planted firmly, and the fruit will appear in due season. Take a breath and feel how naturally confidence rises in you. Confidence is not noise. It is not outward display. It is the quiet recognition of inward capability. You no longer claim your strength, you know it. And the world responds to a man who knows. Consider again the countless individuals whose stories inspired Hill's great writings. Each began as ordinary in the eyes of others. Yet within each lived an identity waiting to be awakened. When they accepted that identity fully, without apology, their outward circumstances reshaped themselves to match the inward form. It will be so with you. Let your mind picture the road ahead. No longer is it clouded, crooked, or dim. It lies before you with a clarity not present before this night, for identity lights the path. A man who knows who he is does not question where he must go. The road is chosen by the nature of the traveler. Repeat softly, my identity guides my destiny. Again, the man within shapes the world without. You may begin to notice a subtle change in how your thoughts arise. They flow with greater order, as though drawn from a deeper well. This is the work of inward command. The will, strengthened in the silence of this night, now directs your thought with gentle authority. Confusion fades. Decision becomes simple. Clarity becomes natural. Imagine that you stand upon a high hill at daybreak. The sun has not yet risen, yet the horizon glows with that early warmth that announces its approach. In the distance, you see the land that lies before you open, vast, ready for the imprint of your step. This scene is a picture of your life at this very moment. Your identity, is the light that makes the horizon visible. Your purpose is the direction of your gaze. Your will is the strength that carries you forward. Take a long, slow breath. Feel the weight of the past fall from your shoulders, not by effort, but by irrelevance. The past belongs to the man you once were. The future belongs to the man you have become. Consider how the carpenter, the shopkeeper, the messenger boy, and the teacher each transformed the world around them. Their outward rise was not the cause of their inward change, it was the result. They grew in the estimation of others because they grew in the estimation of themselves. As you have grown tonight, others will soon respond to you as though you have stepped into a new frame of being. They will hear in your tone a firmness they cannot name. They will see in your eyes a steadiness they did not expect. They will treat you as a man of purpose, and they will not be mistaken. Repeat within, "The world reflects the man I am." Identity does not shout, it radiates. It does not insist, it expresses. It does not strain, it stands. You will find in the days ahead that your actions follow your identity with surprising ease. Habits that once felt difficult will feel natural. Decisions that once brought doubt will bring clarity. Challenges that once stirred fear will awaken strength. This is because identity precedes behavior. Once identity is set, behavior aligns itself without argument. Let the deeper parts of your mind accept this truth. I remain true to the identity formed tonight. Now imagine a great library. In it are volumes containing every belief, every thought, every memory that shaped your former self. One by one, these volumes close, not in rejection, but in completion. Their lessons served their purpose. Their relevance has ended. A new set of volumes now opens blank pages awaiting the imprint of your new identity. This is not forgetting. It is transformation. Repeat softly. I write my life from my new identity. Feel how steady the words become in your mind. Identity has a sound, a rhythm, a weight. The new identity you now hold carries the rhythm of calm strength. It carries the weight of purpose and the sound of certainty. Picture yourself in conversation tomorrow. Notice how your voice flows unhurried, measured, confident. Notice how your thoughts arrange themselves easily. Notice how your presence influences the tone of the room. These effects do not arise from performance. They arise from identity. You no longer try to appear confident. You simply are. You no longer try to make decisions. You decide. You no longer try to discipline yourself. You act in harmony with the self you have accepted. Repeat inwardly, I act from identity, not from effort. Allow this truth to become the foundation of your next chapter. Consider again the bell newly cast. It carries its tone within its form. Strike it, and it does not question what sound to produce. It simply reveals the note that belongs to it. Your identity works the same way. Life will strike you opportunity, challenge, uncertainty, victory, and you will respond according to the tone of your identity. Tonight that tone has been set. Pause, breathe deeply, and rest in this realization. My identity is complete and harmonious. If doubt arises in the future, it will not disturb you. Doubt belongs to the old self, and the old self has no authority here. If fear whispers, it will not sway you. Fear thrives only in unshaped minds. Your mind is now shaped with purpose. If hesitation appears, it will pass quickly. Hesitation cannot survive in the presence of a definite identity. The man who wakes tomorrow will stand upon a foundation secured by this night's work, and that foundation will support everything he builds: his habits, his goals, his relationships, his decisions, his achievements. Repeat gently, I rise tomorrow as the man my identity has formed. Let this final truth settle deeply. Identity shapes destiny, and my identity is now aligned with strength, purpose, and certainty. Rest now in the full triumph of your completed self. You have returned to your rightful nature. You have accepted your rightful authority. You have become the man your life has long awaited. Let sleep carry you into the dawn with quiet power. The work is done. The foundation is laid. The new life begins. As the night nears its quiet conclusion and the world sleeps in its dim silence, the deeper chambers of your mind stand open, illuminated by the truths you have accepted. The inner structure you have built through these hours does not tremble, does not shift, does not falter. It stands firm, like a great tower anchored upon bedrock. This tower is your new identity, shaped by thought, strengthened by purpose, and governed by the will that now sits upon its rightful throne. Feel within you the calm certainty that rises only when a man knows himself. Such certainty cannot be borrowed, imitated, or forced. It emerges when the mind ceases to worship its former limitations and bows instead to the truth of its own nature. Tonight, you have bowed to that truth, and the truth has bowed back in recognition. You may notice, even now, a subtle change in the atmosphere of your thoughts. Ideas arise without the old interference. Decisions form without strain. Direction reveals itself without confusion. This ease is not accident, it is the natural result of inward order. When identity, purpose, and will stand in unity, all things bend toward expression. Repeat softly within yourself, "My mind rests in its rightful order." Let the phrase echo within the quiet halls of your subconscious. Let it settle into the corners where doubt once hid. Let it anchor itself into the very core of your being. Consider how often men of great success spoke of quiet turning points in their lives. They described moments when the inner veil lifted and they saw themselves differently. Not louder, not grander, but clearer. This clarity marked the birth of their authority. From that moment, the world could no longer treat them as they once were. They had stepped into their rightful stature. Such a moment has come to you now. Think of the unknown farmer who believed himself destined for hardship simply because those before him lived meagerly. Yet when he envisioned himself as capable of abundance, the land responded differently to his labor. His crops flourished, his decisions sharpened, his opportunities widened. Others claimed he received fortune's favor, but the truth is simpler. His identity changed and the land obeyed. Your world will obey your new identity. Not because of luck, but because of law. Repeat silently, "Life reflects the man I have become." Feel the truth settle deep. It is not a hope, it is a principle. Now envision yourself passing between two great pillars. One pillar bears the marks of the man you once believed yourself to be: hesitant, uncertain, divided between desire and doubt. The other pillar bears the marks of the man you have shaped tonight: steady in thought, definite in purpose, firm in inward authority. As you walk between them, the pillar behind you fades from view. Only the pillar before you remains. This image is not symbolic alone. It represents a real shift in the structure of your identity. The old pattern of self-perception has dissolved. The new pattern holds its form with quiet strength. The man who stands at the center of your life from this night forward retains no allegiance to the identity that once held him back. Repeat within yourself, "The man I once was no longer rules me. The man I am now holds rightful command." Feel the words resonate like a steady drumbeat. In the days ahead, you will observe small signs of this transformation. Your posture will straighten without conscious effort. Your voice will hold a tone of quiet certainty. Your thoughts will settle into orderly formation when once they scattered. Tasks that once delayed, you will now invite your attention. Opportunities you once doubted will now feel natural to accept. Identity governs conduct, and your identity has changed. Consider the seamstress who rose from obscurity. Her work had always been skillful, yet she believed herself modest and ordinary. Her identity held her back, not her talent. But the day she pictured herself as a creator of beauty, her entire bearing transformed. Patrons sensed her new inward stature. They sought her work. They honored her craft. And she grew into the life she once thought beyond her reach. Your life expands according to the stature of the man you believe yourself to be. Tonight, that stature grew. Now breathe slowly. Allow the breath to move in steady rhythm. Feel the inward walls of doubt crumble one final time. Repeat in stillness, "My doubts fall silent before the truth of who I am." Now imagine a great hall within your mind. lit by warm gold light. At the far end, upon a raised platform, stands a throne not of royalty, but of rightful authority. Upon it sits the identity you have shaped tonight. The figure upon the throne is calm, composed, certain. This figure is you not as you once feared, but as you now know yourself to be. Approach this figure in your mind. Feel the strength in its presence. Feel the steadiness in its gaze. Feel the recognition between the self that observes and the self that is observed. This is not imagination. This is revelation. Repeat softly, I accept the authority of my true nature. Your subconscious receives this as instruction. Your identity accepts it as coronation. The old identity does not return. It has no throne to rest upon, no authority to claim, no structure to inhabit. The mental house has been rebuilt. The rooms have been cleared. The foundation has been replaced. Only the rightful tenant remains. Think now of the blacksmith who lived with a shrunken idea of his worth. He forged tools for others, yet believed himself unfit for greater responsibility. But once he imagined himself as a master craftsman, his work changed, his confidence rose, his opportunities multiplied. Those who knew him spoke of his transformation with wonder, unaware that the transformation began with a single thought repeated in the quiet of his mind. Your transformation, too, began with thought repeated, shaped, accepted. But its completion arrives now. Repeat softly, my identity stands complete and whole. I walk in harmony with the man I have chosen to be. Let the breath deepen. Let the warmth spread across your chest. Let the realization take root. You are no longer a man divided. You are no longer a man torn between who you wish to be and who you fear you are. You stand now as a unified self, directed, purposeful, inwardly steady. The world cannot resist a man who knows himself. It cannot obscure his path. It cannot diminish his rise. It must bend to the shape of his conviction. And your conviction stands clear. Now imagine the dawn approaching not as a bright rush of light, but as a slow, warm unfolding. The horizon glows faintly. The sky lifts. The land awakens. And with it, the man who has reconstructed his identity through the night rises with new strength. You will rise into a world that feels different because you are different. The old self cannot return. The new self cannot be shaken. Repeat inwardly, my identity endures. Consider again the bell newly cast. When struck, it does not search for its tone. It releases the sound that belongs to it. The tone is not chosen in the moment, it is shaped by the form. Your responses, your actions, your decisions, your habits will follow the form of your identity. And that form is now one of strength and clarity. Listen to the truth as it settles. I respond to life from my new identity. Your tone has changed. Your inner vibration has shifted. Your presence has deepened. Those around you will feel it before you speak it. They will adjust themselves accordingly. They will treat you according to the likeness you now bear. This is the quiet triumph of a completed identity. Take a deep, slow breath. Feel the firmness of the self that now inhabits your life. You are no longer at the mercy of your past. You no longer obey the impressions that once shaped you. You have taken command of your inner kingdom, and the kingdom obeys. Repeat softly one final time. I am the man my identity declares me to be. Let the words echo into the deepest folds of your mind. Let them rest there. Let them become the foundation upon which tomorrow stands. Now sink into the last moments of this night's transformation. The work is done. The structure is complete. The identity is yours. Rest in the triumph of your newly awakened self, for when the dawn breaks, you rise not as the man you were, but as the man you were always meant to be. As the long journey of this night approaches its quiet end, allow your mind to feel the fullness of what has unfolded within you. You did not merely listen to words. You entered a process of inward reconstruction. The beliefs that once governed you have been set aside. The fears that once clouded you have dissolved. The identity you carried into this night is not the identity you will carry into the dawn. Breathe slowly. and sense the calm strength that now inhabits your being. This calm is not the absence of thought, it is the presence of inner order. A man whose mind is aligned with his purpose does not need noise to feel alive. He draws power from the clarity that rises in stillness. Your stillness now holds more strength than your former noise. You have undergone a quiet rebirth, not the dramatic kind that fades with morning, but the deep, lasting transformation that arises when truth takes root in the subconscious. You have accepted a likeness of yourself that honors your highest nature. You have dismissed the likeness shaped by old fears. And with that exchange, your destiny pivots. Repeat within, my life now reflects the truth of who I am. The words feel different now, heavier with meaning, steadier in tone. This is the effect of inner alignment. When the mind, the will, and the identity agree, there is no contradiction left to weaken you. You stand as a unified self, and unity is strength. Recall the many individuals Hill studied men who rose from low stations to heights unimaginable. They did not rise because circumstances favored them. They rose because they discovered an inward likeness of strength, embraced it, repeated it, lived into it, and refused to betray it. Tonight, you have done the same. You have claimed the likeness of a stronger self, and that likeness now directs your life. Imagine now that you stand before a long corridor lined with mirrors. In each mirror appears a reflection of the self you were at various moments of your life. The boy who doubted, the young man who hesitated, the adult who carried unexamined burdens. But when you step beyond these mirrors, a final reflection appears, the self you have become through this night, strong in bearing, calm in judgment, definite in direction. This final reflection is not a dream. It is your new identity, and the mind accepts what it can see. Repeat gently, I recognize my rightful identity. Let the phrase settle deep. As you breathe, feel the old weakness drain from your being. It no longer holds claim to any part of your character. Weakness survives only where identity permits it. You have withdrawn that permission. You have placed the crown of self-respect upon your own head. See yourself now as a man who knows his place in the world, not through arrogance, but through certainty.